Talking about.
You're officially live streaming.
Okay, once these are ready. I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Italian Village Commission. It's February 13th at 4 p.m. The next business meeting is Tuesday, February 27th at 12 p.m. in this room. Next month's hearing is Tuesday, March 12th at 4 p.m. in this room. And swearing staff. Do you state your name?
It's Morgan Brown.
Swear to tell the best truth to the best of your ability.
Yes, I do.
Awesome.
And just a quick correction, Commissioner Fergus, the business meeting will be in room 205, which will be adjacent to this. So just
That's an issue.
okay, that's in just a quick clarification.
Introduction of commissioners present.
Ben Goodman.
Shannon Fergus.
Carla Trot.
Rose Michael Smith, Paige Kaplansky.
Great. And it looks like we do have public forum.
Yes. It will just be for the city attorney to conduct the commission oath of office and pledge of ethical conduct. At this time, Commissioner Michael Smith, Fergus, and Goodman have taken that oath, and Sudi. So, but Commissioner Kaplansky and Commissioner will need to be conducted on this. Josh, Booker.
Thanks. It's great to be back. I know it wasn't too long since I've been here. So I think I still have two of these to conduct for Commissioner Trot and Commissioner Kaplansky. You guys weren't here, but I am your assigned city attorney. We are asking everyone to take the oath of office here. As Morgan stated, your co-commissioners have done so already, so I need to do it for you. If you will raise your right hand and I'll repeat after me, I will administer this. I'm a notary, so I'll notarize it. It'll go with staff and be filed with the city clerk's office. I apologize for the length of it. There are two blanks. The first one is for your name. The second one is for the Italian Village Commission. So just read along with me as I go through it. Again, I state your name, do solemnly swear or affirm.
Are you doing one at a time? Sorry.
Do them together, that's fine.
I, Carla
I, Paige
Trot,
Kaplansky, do solemnly swear or
That I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Ohio.
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States and the state of Ohio.
And will obey the laws thereof and will in all respects
and will
And will obey the laws thereof, will in all respects
uphold and enforce the provisions of the charter and code of the city of Columbus.
uphold and enforce the provisions of the charter and code of the city of Columbus.
And will honestly, faithfully, and impartially
And will honestly, faithfully, and impartially
abide by all governing bylaws and rules and regulations
abide by all governing bylaws and rules and regulations
in the discharge of my duties as a member of the Italian Village Commission.
in the discharge of my duties as a member of the Italian Village Commission.
In addition, I acknowledge and pledge to adhere
In addition, I acknowledge and pledge to adhere
to the highest standards of ethical conduct
to the highest standards of ethical conduct
as outlined in the attached document titled City Boards and Commissions Pledge of Ethical Conduct,
as outlined in the attached document titled City Boards and Commissions of Ethical Conduct,
which details the city's ethics laws and policies.
which details the city's ethical laws and policies.
I understand that it is my responsibility to act
I understand that it's my responsibility to act
with integrity, transparency, and accountability
with integrity, transparency, and accountability
in all my actions and decisions,
in all my actions and decisions,
guided by the principles set forth in said document.
by the principles set forth in said document.
Congratulations. If I can have you print your name in the first blank and then Italian Village Commission and then sign, print, and member again on the bottom to stop where it says sworn to me.
I have a question. That's okay.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
have a new commissioner coming on soon, and I'm wondering, do you have to come back for that commissioner as well?
I will be back for that, Commissioner. We're trying to simplify the process where it's handled during your appointment process, but we haven't gotten there quite yet. So I will be back at some point in the near future.
Gotcha.
Do you want to, while they're finishing signing, talk about the new commissioner?
Yes, we can. I was gonna do it under new business.
Oh, okay.
At this time, if you would like to talk about it. So we can wait. And Joshua, I will coordinate that with you when we get to that.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Congratulations, though, for everyone here is done for the current time. I'll take those and then I'll interact them in the hallway so I don't interrupt the meeting.
Sure, then.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, you can.
I think that's for you.
Oh,
I can find this.
I'll bring it. Okay, good.
You're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, it's the end of public forum.
And no other items.
All right, and we have no staff approvals because we technically didn't have a business meeting, right?
No, we do have a couple staff approvals.
Oh, duh, that's fact.
Yes, you're fine, Commissioner Burns. They start on page 9 for staff approvals.
Okay, I guess I'll start with the motion to approve in a second, and I'll go through the list.
I move to approve staff approvals.
I said,
Okay, just interrupt me if you need to abstain from any of these. 982 North Sixth Street, 680 Kerr Street, 1098 Say Avenue, 5 to 21 East Lincoln Street, 199 East Second Ave, 822 to 824 Kerr, 740 and 756 North High, and 1104 to 1108 Summit Street, and 869 North Fourth Street. All right, acceptance.
I think we can all need to vote the affirmative on that.
Okay,
Or, you know, if-
Yeah. all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Great. Do I have a motion for approval of the minutes from the last meeting?
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right,
move on to our staff recommended applications.
all right. We're gonna start with IV 2402010 943 Mount Pleasant. Okay, we'll swear you both in. Can you state your names for the record?
Rebecca Mott with the Plank Law Firm.
Daryl Tanner.
Okay, and do you swear to tell the truth to the best of your ability this evening?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, all right, staff is gonna give a description and then go over to you.
Proposed work description, application is to split existing parcel into 2 parcels, also with some existing variance recommendations. Existing variances are, or the variances are 3332.05. City of Columbus zoning code requires all building in RF district to be erected or altered on a lot with a width of no less than 50 feet. Applicant is requesting a variance to permit 1 lot with a width of 30 feet. 333215 requires a single-family dwelling in the RF district to be situated on a lot no less than 5,000 square feet in area. Applicant is requesting a variance to permit a lot that is 4,260 square feet, including half of the alley of the rear property. This is variance for 740 square feet for 1 lot. 333226E requires a detached garage to be a minimum of 3 feet from the side of lot line. Applicant is requesting a variance to legitimize the location of the existing detached garage on the property, which is 2 feet from the existing northern side lot line. 333228F, applicant is requesting a variance to legitimize the existing detached garage on the property, which is 820 square feet, necessitating a variance of 100 square feet. The existing single-family residence is 1,246.6 square feet, and on 1/3 of the figure is 416 square feet. Staff analysis, HPO staff has reviewed the historic Sanborn maps and have identified that the lot to the south of 943 Mount Pleasant was originally a separate parcel with the address of 939 Mount Pleasant and had a 1.5-story dwelling structure on that parcel. Staff recommendation is to recommend the application ID 24-02010 as submitted with any clarification to be submitted to HPO staff review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with conditions. And this is more brief things, I guess, not conditions. Since this is for existing conditions and for splitting a lot that was historically a separate parcel, there are reasons why. The basis of staff rec is City Code 3332 residential districts, the Italian Village Guidelines, new construction, page 52 to 53.
Grant?
Good evening. May I approach the bench or allow staff to hand this out unless you already have the variance list and the site plan? I have 11 by 17 copies.
We do have that.
You have all of that? Okay. Again, my name is Rebecca Mott with the Plank Law Firm with an office address of 411 East Town Street, Columbus, Ohio. As you heard from staff, this is just a lot split, and there's 4 area variances from lot development standards that are needed. The first 2 that are listed are necessitated by the lot split itself. So for, if we're looking at the site plan and we're looking at Mount Pleasant Avenue, this lot here would be 30 feet in width, whereas the other lot is over the 50-foot requirement of 52. So this one necessitates a variance for 20 feet for that variance. We also have a variance for a new condition, which is when we're splitting the 2 lots, this one will exceed 5,000 square feet for a lot. This one will be just shy of that, 4,260 square feet. Those are the 2 area variances that are necessitated by the lot split itself. The other 2 variances are for existing conditions that already appear on the lot as improved. Because we do have a home down here on this 30-foot width lot already with a detached garage in the rear. The detached garage already has a 2-foot side yard setback. 3 is required by code technically. So already an improvement that's an existing condition, legal non-conforming, which can remain, but we'd like to clean up the site and obtain approvals for that affirmatively. In addition, the detached garage exceeds by 100 square feet the total square feet that the code provides for an R4 district. So again, an existing condition, it can remain as legal non-conforming, but we are asking for your recommendation of approval just to clean up the site and obtain all the land use approvals needed to accommodate the lot split application, which will be next.
Who wants to start?
I'll start. I mean, this diagram you have here, which I think is the same as
Yes.
in our package, is what's being proposed.
Correct.
And I see it as being completely in the rhythm of the street neighborhood in general. And I think all the variances that you're requesting seem completely legitimate and often granted in other conditions, even without this kind of cleanup situation. So I support you, this application and staff's recommendation.
Thank you.
Commissioner Traum?
I would agree with that.
Thank you.
I agree.
Thanks.
Agreed as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have no other comments.
Great.
Do I have a motion to recommend the variances?
Can we do that?
He's looking at you.
All right, I move on to application 24-02-010, which is 943 Mount Pleasant, which is a series of variance and lot split requests. This motion is a recommendation to approve these variances and requests, period.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So
Thank you so
it goes
much.
to board zoning now. That's why we only recommend instead of active this.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next application is IB 2402011 912 North High. Afternoon.
Afternoon.
Can you state your name?
My name is Nick Mockler. I am representing Sign Master for a signage project for Generation Tux.
All right, can you raise your right hand? You swear to tell the truth to the best of your ability this evening?
I do.
The proposed work description for 912 North High Street is to install a 36.75 by 36 3/4 inch projecting sign to have GT, blade sign to be non-illuminated, sign to be 2 inches deep aluminum that will be painted black, base to be routed out with white backed acrylic, sign to be supported by 1 inch by 3 inch aluminum tubes with 3 inch by 8.5 inch mounting plates that will be black. Install new 50.41 inch by 17.26 inch wall sign to say Generation Tux in lowercase. Wall sign to be 1.18 inches deep, halo lit channel letters. Letters to be 30 millimeter thick oval acrylic block with 6,000 K white LEDs. Sign to be mounted with studs that will include 1 inch PVC spacers. The property was previously approved for new wall sign and projecting sign 2016. COA number 16617. New signage will be installed where previous signage was installed and fastened as previous approval. Proposed signage is to be smaller in size than previously approved signage. Staff recommends to approve application IB 24-012-011 as submitted with any clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with the following condition: that the projecting sign to be installed via mortar joints. Basis of staff rec is short north design guidelines, signage pages 3.37 and 3.41, as well as 31-16-13 standards for site improvements, letter C.
Do you have anything else to add?
Not necessarily. I pretty much mounting method for just the non-illuminated sign is pretty much just going to be 2 to 3 inches deep within the brick via Tapcons. But with the halo letters, I mean, pretty much, again, with the prior existing sign, I mean, we're just maintaining that 1 inch PVC kind of spacer. But overall, I think that description pretty much sums it all up there, so.
Okay, perfect. Start page. I'm just gonna go back and forth. That works.
Just sitting on a chair, it's not a chair.
Oh, okay. It's like, where's that coming from? So sorry about that.
Well, I guess I don't have any issues for the like for like as far as the sign mounted to the wall. And I think, sorry if I missed that when you were talking, but did you talk at all about the fasteners being located within mortar joints on the signage?
So, let's see. I guess in the description that it's not necessarily covered, but I guess with the you're talking for the non-illuminated blade sign for the mounting blades.
Yeah.
So that again, it's probably about 2-3 inches deep with the Tapcon screws. I think the plan is as of now to add some kind of, I guess I can't necessarily remember the exact term, but some kind of insert within that brick in order to create additional stability for the Tapcon. Similar to what we do with many other channel letter projects, we typically add about a 6-inch insert. And well, it can be a different length depending on the studs required and whatnot, but we typically put an insert in there in order to help fasten the stud in there as well, with additional silicone, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think the scale and size of the signage is appropriate to what's happening in the neighborhood. We often just request that the fasteners themselves aren't damaging the bricks, and signage is rotating quite frequently here. So keeping the fasteners within the mortar joints is often a request. That's my only comment.
I agree with Paige's assessment about the mortar joints, the attachment going through the mortar joint, not the brick. Other than that, I think it's fine.
I look at this sign and to me, it just feels like the sign is really small. On the flat sign, and that it's floating within a very much larger kind of, in this case, light gray field. And the letters to be, I hardly ever say this, but I think they seem too small. Especially when you look at the old sign that had the word zest.
Yeah.
And that was quite large. And then juice next to it, to me, that felt like the composition of it was much better. But, so I would just propose that the letters get bigger and that maybe that you consider where it is positioned within the sign itself. Does it have to be in the center like that? Could it maybe move to a, 1/3 kind of situation? And I know that the blade sign was approved earlier. Sometimes we've been coming to the conclusion that you don't need both, but that's up to you.
Anything to add?
Yeah, this is some interesting tough points down here. I'm mostly supporting the application, and I would request that that you resubmit the section drawing for the blade sign, no matter what this outcome is with the other sign, showing that you where the showing the plate mounting plates with the actual bolt hole dimensions, and show that you understand and that your shop understands where it lies with respect to the mortar truss. Because we've just seen too many times where this there's a miscommunication between what happens here and the installers.
Okay.
So I think it's important it gets drawn on the plan, gets resubmitted so that everybody's done their due diligence to make sure that you don't run into the problem again. We've run into the problem a lot of times. As far as the other sign and too big, too small, I am not inclined to make this any bigger myself. I don't disagree that it could be relocated off center. And I would say that I would have considered a larger version of the typography if a unique or artistic approach to either materials or the lighting had been proposed, but that's not what's going on here today. But suffice to say, for the record, I just continue to be supportive of doing more artistic, less sort of strip mall like sign elements with the ability to go a little further beyond the typical if those kinds of artistic benchmarks are hit. So what I am supporting is the application as is, and with the request to submit the drawing number A04 with the appropriate mounting details that I just outlined. If you want to come back with other materials or other kinds of layouts or so forth, I think that's completely fine also, but.
Yeah, I agree with Carla that it certainly looks floaty and weird for how small it is. I assume that that's kind of like the extended logo, and that's why it looks like that instead of just fitting into the whole space. So I'd be supportive of it, the text like going up one size a little bit to take up the space or being moved, justified left or right, but it's not like for me gonna hold up an approval, and then obviously agree with the more.
Just to speak, I think the reason it's at that hot size is because it's 10 square feet or something, but we have to ask, yeah.
Yeah, is there a reason it's so small?
I mean, not necessarily. I guess it's more so not necessarily sure if it's like either like a corporate requirement or if it's individual customer requirement. It's just kind of at the time what we were kind of just given as an approval by the customer. So we kind of just rolled with it and tried to see what oppositions there might be to it, I guess. But there's not really any to my knowledge, particular reason for it being this exact size. I mean, it could probably be a little bit larger. I wouldn't recommend going any lower myself, but, yeah, as far as I'm aware, I mean, it's pretty much just, this is what we were kind of provided with what the customer wanted as well. So that's just kind of where we're at a little bit.
Okay. Anyone have any?
I have nothing else. I'm inclined to make an approval if the application is presented tonight with that mounting detail.
Okay.
And if they want to come back with more, then do that later. So with that said, on application IV 24-02-011, 912 North High Street, move that we approve it as presented tonight, with the stipulation that the applicant submit an additional detail showing the mounting plate with its mounting holes and its relationship to the mortar joints. An existing brick.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, we're on our third application, 111 East Second Ave. Yeah, I didn't think they were here. Okay. So it's,
Oh, I apologize, I'm sorry, I was getting myself organized. They actually just emailed me a little bit before the meeting and the owners are unable to attend, so they would like to continue the application to March.
do we need to make a motion to do so?
Yes.
Okay. So can I have a motion to continue application IV 2312-010?
So moved.
Do you have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, on to number 4, 2312-008, 51 East 4th. Can I have you all raise your right hand, state your name?
Ryan Foster.
Do you swear to tell the truth to the best of your ability this evening?
Yes.
Sorry. Getting over a cold, so apologize. For proposed work description for 51 East 4th Avenue is to install 29 roof mounted solar panels on west, east, and south elevations of main roof. First submitted roof plan, utilities will be located on the southwest corner, solar panels will be silt fabricated and low profile. Sorry. Columbus School is 100% renewable energy by 2022 and to be carbon neutral by 2050. Clean energy can include sources such as wind, hydro, and solar. The use of renewable energy such as solar collectors is encouraged and should be designed, sized, and located to minimize any effect on the character of the historic building. While the Italian Village District guidelines do not currently address solar energy specifically, reviews based on recommendations for the National Park Service. Preferred locations for solar collectors include site raise and rear or side yard, on the roof of an addition or secondary structure, or on the rear portion of the roof of the primary structure. Locating collectors on the front portion of the roof oriented to the side yard is acceptable, where preferred locations are not feasible. Minimize visual impacts by sending collectors back from the facade of the building. Install a collector in such a way that it can be removed and the original character is restored. Mount collectors flush below the ridge line on a sloping roof. Attach solar collectors to a historic roof in a minimally invasive and reversible manner. Minimize visual impacts by setting collectors back from eaves. Avoid obscuring significant features or adversely affecting the overall character of the building. Exposed hardware, frames, and piping should have a matte finish and be consistent with the color scheme of the structure. Collectors located in primary street facing roof slope is not appropriate. The following is taken from the approved December 12, 2023 Italian Village Commission meeting minutes. Commissioner Goodman asked applicant to identify the round elements referred to on the roof plan. He also asked what the total kilowatt rating the applicant is proposing. He stated that the kilowatt rating appears to be on the larger size than typical. Commissioners agree that the proposed configuration of solar panels does not seem to relate to the architecture as of now, the current gable and hip roofs. Most commissioners appear to be in support of incorporating solar panels, but the layout and installation needs to be in compliance with the existing architecture. Commissioners agreed to set solar panels back on the northwest corner of the main roof in order to let the historic architecture breathe. Some commissioners stated that installing some of the solar panels on the secondary garage could be a good solution, as well as to utilize the back portion of the hip roof. Commissioner Trot recommended stepping the solar panels back from the ridges of the roof as well. Commissioner Goodman also recommended that maybe the use of varying sizes could be a solution to maintain energy collected, but assist with the layout of the roof. Applicant has since updated their drawings and solar panel placement to set the panels back further from the northwest corner of the main building. The panels removed from the northwest corner have now been relocated to the rear second story's non-historic garage. Staff recommends to approve application IV 2312-008 as submitted. Any all clarifications to be submitted to HOA staff for review and approval prior to issuance of certificate, with the following condition: for there to be appropriate spacing between solar panels and ridge roll per building code. Basis of staff rec is City Code 3116-11, standards for alteration, and Italian Village District guidelines, skylights, and National Park Service solar panels.
Thank you. Anything to add?
No.
Ben?
I applaud solar arriving in the community. And I also think that you've done a pretty good job of responding to the things we talked about. I continue to feel that that solar panels in their linear form are not a good match for hip roofs. You know, in terms of historic sort of alignments, the gable roofs are best because it's a rectangular kind of roof and plan. You know, because we're forcing out of this kind of juggernaut kind of shape. But I am inclined not to stand in the way of some of this. I do think that the proposed implementation on the garage is so spotty, and it's a lower roof line, that I am not in support of that. So I will concede that you've done the best you can under the circumstances with the vents and so forth on the main house. But it would support that, but don't support the garage.
So I appreciate the revisions that you guys have done. I think that you have taken the suggestions that we gave you and did a really good job of implementing them. So I'm really happy to see that. I kind of feel like a hip roof is a flatter roof than a cable roof, and that it would be less visible. And so I think that that's a plus in this from a visual standpoint. I agree with what Commissioner Goodman is saying, but I don't find it offensive unless we can come up with maybe another way, or if you have another suggestion of could these turn rotate 90 degrees, and so then it maybe not feel as spotty, but I'm not opposed to it. I would approve it as it is.
I agree with Commissioner Trot on her assessment. I think that we asked you to look at the garage, placing panels on the garage, and you've done that. And I think, as I remember, the number of panels was important, that you maintain a certain number of panels to get this to work. So although I understand the spottiness, I think it's you have done what we asked, and it appears to me that turning anything isn't going to accomplish anything, because when you have two rectangles together, they're basically square. And so I'm in support of your solution, and thank you for hearing us out.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm also in support of the solution. I think we're trying to prioritize, the frontage and pulling that back. It really helped with the views from the sidewalk as well as the road. So appreciate that, and I'm comfortable approving this as is.
I have nothing additional to add. I agree about implementing, what we asked, and there's a reason we're putting these on garages instead of the main house, so they're able to look a little bit spottier. Not the best, but I think it's best we do in this situation.
I can make a motion to approve, IV 2402-015. As submitted.
Staff, do you need us to put the condition that you had regarding something about setting back from the hip for building and zoning?
Yes, we would recommend adding that in.
Can we just say that, Paige did that?
Yes, but staff,
Okay.
then yes.
Do I have a second for that?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Hey, before you guys go, I just have a question. I saw some technology about vertical solar recently and wondered if that's, you're seeing that in your projects or on the horizon for your projects.
I'm not familiar with it, so I can't speak to it.
All right, that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go to application number 5, 2311-017, 162 East Fourth. State your name,
Josh Mansinger, CJE Restoration.
swear to tell the truth to the best of your ability this evening.
I do.
Perfect.
Proposed work description is to remove existing wood siding and install new hardy board lap siding, the 5-inch exposure to match, new hardy board siding to be smooth. Staff analysis, following is taken from the for January 30, 2024, from the village fishing meeting minutes. Would the commission like me to reread the comments from last month? Or would we like to just go into the different minutes?
I think we can go in. Is this the one you all did a site visit on?
Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, I think maybe a description of that is probably more useful in my opinion. Anyone else?
Good. All right, so HBO staff with Commissioners Trott and Michael Smith conducted a site visit on Wednesday, 2/7, with the homeowner and contractor present. Discussion took place on retaining elevations that have majority good original siding, also potentially remove original siding on elevations that have majority replacement siding, and using that siding to repair damaged areas on the areas that have good siding. Elevations where past replacements were made and salvage boards were used, could then potentially have installed oral siding that matches original profile and size. But that would be the drop siding that's currently in the building. As discussed on site, staff would not recommend mixing the materials on the same elevations due to the difference in materials for expansion and contraction purposes. This could potentially cause future issues, but to separate the different materials on different elevations may be appropriate. Applicant additionally stated on site visit that they would be fine with using the floral selection as well. Staff recommends 2 options, that applicant retain the original siding and repair replace where it's needed, as well as replacement of the current replacement to trim to match the sizing within the guidelines and city code. Or staff recommends the applicant retain original siding on the south and east elevation and install oral siding of the same profile and size on the west and north elevation that appeared to have more replacement things on those elevations. Any original siding removed from those 2 to be used on the south and east elevation for repairs. The conditions being for both, or for this one, is synthetic siding to match the current sizing, profile, and configuration on the property, and to install wood trim, windows, doors, corner boards, frieze and fascia for the recommended sizing within the guidelines and city code. Basis of staff rec is 311611, standards for alteration. Thank you.
Anything to add? All right, we'll start on this side. Well, actually, do we want to start with the 2 who,
Yes.
one of you want to start since you visited?
Sure. I, I was glad to see the house in person because I think that you get a different picture when you see it in person. And I am in favor of collecting the original boards that are in good condition and using them on the front elevations. Hopefully that's enough to cover the majority of those two faces. And then reusing non-original or equal to board, yes, on the other elevations. I'm not in favor, I think we did, there was a discussion about encasing the house with new material, and I thought that was just like not a good idea. I think it would lead to problems with the original siding in the future, damaging it even more than natural weather could, and would make it really difficult to detail windows and so on.
This is a very complicated situation because there are no two facades that are alike or have similar conditions, as you know.
Yeah.
And so I think staff's recommendation makes a lot of sense that you see here, this elevation, this back little structure is pretty nice on, I think, all three sides, if you remember exactly. And so I think to retain those, it makes perfect sense. And then the siding is so bad on some of the other areas that because of the mandate not to mix old and new siding together, it would need to be removed. And I hope that the profile will match this profile, which you said, and it's really a better wood than hardy plank for this situation.
Okay.
So I think the direction that has been suggested makes a lot of sense.
And just a quick clarification, it's not the mix of old and new, it's the mix of old wood with new synthetic,
Right.
siding. Yeah,
But that's what I meant.
yeah, just, sorry, just.
The materials expand and contract. I think they wear it.
Yeah.
My understanding that you guys are in alignment with what I just heard from staff. That's interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have anything to add?
No, I'll just say I'm enlightened with staff as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to who's going to craft the motion.
Yeah, we want to, someone say staff option 1 or 2.
Before we continue, does the applicant have anything to add to this conversation?
So sure, no, I spoke with the homeowner briefly after y'all left, and I think that was helpful for her. I mean, they were hopeful that they could get the issues addressed properly. I mean, their biggest concern is they painted 3 years ago. They don't want to have to continue to paint. So based on the site visit and what was proposed, these two options proposed, I don't think it's going to be an issue, whichever way you decide.
And to clarify for commission and applicant, of course, the east and south elevation would be the front facing facade, and then the other elevation that faces the other street, which I wish I knew the name, so I apologize, but those appear to be more the original condition, and there was a lot of replacement on the north side yard elevation. Okay, if that helps.
Again, so the elevation we're looking at right now is the
Rear. Yeah, this would be
from the southeast,
this would be the north elevation.
north elevation.
Yes.
Do you want to see all of the elevations, Ben?
Can you show the two on the big screen part of the two that we were going to keep as original?
Yeah, the right elevation, and most original boards, just from what I'm speaking on from our site visit. And then the front elevation, which would be,
Okay.
that elevation. And there are replacement boards on that elevation as well, but, with that condition, removing those.
And it's my understanding that you and those went out to the site and feel there's enough material to accomplish that.
Not
That's
necessarily.
hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this, that's in pretty bad shape, but then there's some pieces at the top, so I'm assuming, don't let me put words in your mouth, that you'll take all this off, pull what can be reused of the original old growth wood, and maybe hopefully can make a significant or add it to a significant facade like the front of this.
Yeah, so I think the big thing on the site visit was, for example, right next to the door, there's little one piece, 1 foot pieces of board. We wouldn't feather those in the wall. Ideally, we preserve the longest pieces to have the least amount of board joints. But from the standpoint of, is there enough original wood on the elevations that would be pulled down so you're not mixing material to complete the repairs? Yeah.
I think it's super important because, I mean, after all, I think one of the metrics is that we don't want to mix materials.
Well, I think that if somehow it's not, I think you'll have to come back. Obviously,
Yes.
Don't move forward because you might get code on you, so.
Could we put something in stating that if there's not enough to replace with like kind in pine or cedar, same material?
So it would be a new, yeah,
So on the existing elevations where repairs are made, should we run into not having enough material from the existing elevations, we would replace with wood on those elevations. And then the elevations that are being completely replaced, we would use the boral true exterior if we run into that.
I think that.
I think it's fine. I was willing to go to prioritizing the 2 elevations that we're talking about too, but if that's.
No, I think that's important that we suggest, like the front facade is one that gets the older material.
Mhm.
And I don't.
Prioritize.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's then the other east, the one that's on the street, that's the second one.
Yeah, because those are the only 2 that we're retaining.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's the biggest elevation. So to me, it would have been it might have been more prudent to subtract the front and say the right, but I don't want to get debative here. It's just that it seems like it's more plausible you could get all this done, and if you were running out of material, then obviously you're going to be able to get the front done. But if you're going to start mixing materials on this very broad,
I don't think he's
You
gonna.
know,
No, I'm
fix
not
it.
saying.
He's using he's gonna.
We would use new wood. Excuse
Mixing
me.
materials we were talking about was mixing basically already.
but even new wood and old wood is going to render a different outcome in 10
I
years.
don't think he's saying that.
So from the standpoint of, is fast growth wood species going to last as long as the old growth wood? No, it won't. I mean, obviously, this was replaced in the 90s. We have the photos in the 90s. That's the wood that's degrading. So yes, am I confident that there's enough wood on the other elevations that's original wood that we can make the necessary repairs? Yeah.
Okay.
In the instance that, catastrophic malfunction, we have to replace it, then we would take every effort to make sure we use proper wood preservers to extend the life of the existing wood if we have to put new wood.
Okay. Yeah, who would like to craft? Really have an emotion. I'm glad I'm sharing it today. Would you craft?
Okay, make sure I'm the right one. Okay, so motion to approve IV 23-11-017 with the following conditions. First condition being that the street facing elevations are to reuse the existing wood siding on the home, and the rear and the side elevation is able to use the newer
Oreo.
siding.
Except you want to make sure that it's the old growth
Original.
on the front of the side. Correct.
Original.
Existing original.
Sorry, existing original wood.
Sorry.
Is that very similar? Okay, and then second condition being that if there is not, in the instance that there's not enough existing original hardwood siding to reuse, that using new wood siding is acceptable.
That cover it?
Almost, yeah. No, it's fine. I mean, this one is gonna be a crafted, approval item, so, we make the recommendation of, replacement to be in the same, of course, sizing and profile. Also additionally, that, to install the wood trim, windows, doors, and corner boards for the recommended sizing within the guidelines of the city code, just of the historic trim elements, so.
I will second with that, those additions, and I actually would like to, I guess I'm requesting, or maybe I'm asking, shouldn't we have submittals for elevations of this home and with those kinds of details, so that we have that for the record? And
Do you mean for the cut sheets, Commissioner Goodman?
I mean, we typically, for submittal, I mean, all this has been done by photography.
Yes.
And I just think that it might be important that we have a submittal of how the trim is being,
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, sure.
mated with the new material. And it also perhaps gives the applicant an opportunity to further specify the preservation techniques that might occur if they run out of material. So, if everybody else feels that's an appropriate ask, then I would like that to be included as part of the motion and part of the stipulations.
That's your motion, so are you okay with that? Okay. All right.
In addition to all the, we're talking about, just in general, we need the applicant and the owners to understand that the trim, the corner boards and the trim work are an important part of this. We want to make sure that's, and implemented correctly.
We can have those sizes submitted to us for us to verify and.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you for working with us on this.
Of course, my pleasure.
And Commissioners, real quick, who seconded that?
That's how I heard.
That's
Yeah.
true, that's how it led to
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
Okay, are we on number 6 now? Yeah, because there were 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, we're gonna be on application 06 ID 2401005, 186 East 4th Street. 4th Avenue, not 4th Street.
We have
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
I know.
We have. Thank you, so I will adjust that.
Okay, sorry, I was getting lost in the agenda. Can you both raise your right hands for the record? State your name for the record.
Joel Roby.
Eric Cheryl?
You swear to tell the truth to the best of your ability this evening?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, this project or proposed work description is for new construction as well as various recommendations. Construct a new 2-story single-family home on the vacant portion of existing lot with the structure to face Greenwood Avenue. Garage is to be attached into front Greenwood. Materials include hardy cement 6-inch exposure lap siding with smooth finish, hardy cement vertical siding with batten smooth finish, roof material to be TPO or EPDM, 6-inch K-style black aluminum gutters, windows to be Pella Impervia casement windows from the approved windows list, front door to be Pella Craftsman 3/4 light smooth wood, rear sliding glass door to be Pella Lifestyles 4-panel sliding door, wood aluminum flat black. Masonry is Creative Minds card rectangle color knapsack. Garage door to be Cloak Clay modern steel garage door, the flush panel 7 foot by 16 foot. Actually, that's changed because it's 2 separate doors. Apologies. Second floor porch railing to be metal railing with horizontal stringers. Concrete drive, rear patio type unilock Hollandstone Sierra. Site to include black aluminum channel style fence posts with stained horizontal ceiling boards. This existing historic garage fronting fourth is to be maintained. And some of the trees have recently been removed from the site and a code violation has been submitted. Variance recommendations are listed. I read those last month. So for staff analysis, and those haven't changed. The following is taken from the unapproved January 30, 2024 meeting minutes. Would the commissioners like me to reread those minutes for the record or for a refresher of 2 weeks ago?
Is anybody not here? If somebody that wasn't here for it, I think, so.
That's true. Commissioner Lacey is
On there, so.
I will read this. Commissioners stated that they appreciate the revisions done to the roof lines, window punch configuration, and the materials. Commissioners have concern on the mass scale of the garage since it appears massive in comparison to the narrow homes adjacent to the property. The scale does not appear appropriate or fit with the rhythm of the neighborhood. Commissioner Goodman recommended shrinking the width of the garage and have a greater front yard setback to not overpower the adjacent homes and could be in support if those changes were made. Commissioner Trott stated that the design should speak more to the vocabulary of the neighborhood. Maybe the design becomes 2 garages and to not make it as wide as it is. Some commissioners agreed that the wraparound porch on the 2nd floor of the front facade was adding to the heaviness and thickness of the home. Some commissioners stated they are not opposed to a garage door facing Greenwood, but not be in support with how it is being presented. Commissioners have concern with the combination of style with industrial and vernacular structure. They would recommend that the applicant either select full vernacular style or full industrial style. Commissioner Michael Smith stated that it's an improvement of previous submittal, but not there yet. Commissioner Studi recommended that if the applicant were to choose the traditional vernacular style as similar to the adjacent homes, that applicants consider access to the garage from the side with the garage in the rear. Commissioner Studi also recommended that if applicant wanted to go with a more industrial style, to look at some of the previously approved new builds on the other side of Greenwood, since they're more industrial design. Some designs have garages in the front, as others with the industrial design have them in the rear. He stated he'd be more in support with an industrial build without a garage door on the front. Commissioners will be fine with a flat roof if the applicant proposes a more industrial style building. Commissioner Fergus stated the Italian Village Commission have supported completely industrial buildings next to completely historic buildings in this area, but it has to be one or the other, since historically that's what was there on the streets. These streets with a combination of buildings. Applicant has since submitted revised materials to be more in line with industrial style for massing, openings, and fenestrations, which include 2 separate garage doors instead of 1. Additionally, the structure has moved back from the street by 8 feet to be more in line with the existing buildings. And staff had additionally requested the following to be submitted: a site plan for the tree removal that was done without a COA, material call out for the driveway and patio mentioned in the site plan, update to the materials list, and manufacturer detail for the metal railing for 2nd floor porch, metal fencing on the side and the front door, and sliding glass doors in the rear. Applicant has supplied the requested materials as well as commission's requested tree removal plan. Staff recommends to continue application IB 24-01005 to allow applicant time to bring the proposal in line with the applicable city code and guidelines. Basis for staff rec is 311612, standards for new construction.
Thank you. Anything to add?
I don't think we have anything to add, this time.
Do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, I think I'll first say that I think the industrial style that we're going for is appropriate on the street because of across the way there is that large block building right across the way. So as far as going in that direction, I am in favor of that. I understand the comments that what we just heard about the scale itself being a little dominating compared to the adjacent historic homes. One way I think to potentially solve that is the industrial building across the way, and oftentimes within the neighborhood are not this full, like 2-height story. So even just pushing the coverage of the porch a little bit back may help give some relief to the mass of this building. To even cover maybe like half or 3/4 of the porch so that it does give some relief on that 2nd story. I think it helped with some of the scale comments that were made. And then one other thing would just be the front door moment. I think on, is it Greenlawn or what's the other street that has this conditional lock? It was mentioned.
Greenwood.
We often still try to make the front door still a moment on the facade so that these alleys that are turning front entryways still have that pedestrian frontage kind of light associated with the front door area. So those are just my two comments, but I think overall the direction is appropriate for where we are.
I think those are really good comments that Commissioner Page. That's
Maybe we're getting pronounce it. We're all going first names tonight because I can't pronounce your last names.
However, I do think that the industrial style is appropriate, but I feel like it is still too wide, and if it could be narrowed up. There's the flatness of the front facade, I think, is, as was mentioned, if you pull the coverage of that upper porch back might help that, but I do think that, but I really want to squeeze in that garage a little bit more. But I think it's on its way, but still has ways to go.
I would agree with those comments. And I think overall it's much better. So appreciate you putting the time into it. And I think that it will fit into the neighborhood much better this way than something that, or to say before. I would agree that it does feel wide still, just even a foot off of this seems like it would help. And maybe I could go either way with Commissioner Page's suggestion that the porch be pushed back or not. I think that could be a nice option, but I feel like it has a kind of standard industrial style to it, so that doesn't bother me too much. I'm just curious, I can't quite figure out if there must be a parapet wall associated with this, because we see the height of the wall, but we don't see the height of the roof line in the section or on the elevations.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small parapet, but yeah, there is.
Are there any mechanicals at all?
We would put those on the ground for this building.
Okay. That was my concern. If you.
Yeah, no, there wouldn't be any real reason to put them on the roof for this building.
It seems to me like the proportions would be a little better if the height of the parapet wall was 10 a foot or so taller than it is right now. I think that would make it feel less squat and a little bit taller. I know that less boxy. Yeah, less boxy. And then where is the tree replacement plan? I saw something back here, but I'm curious. See trees removal plan, but what information do we have about replacing the trees that we cut down?
So there's two new trees being proposed that are shown shaded in that document. They're on a separate site plan.
Where do we know what that is?
Right there.
I see a tree removal.
Page number 2, yeah, sure thought. What's being proposed.
One of my arrows didn't get moved.
So that's a 2-inch caliber, and what was the total caliber of the trees that were cut down by?
I don't have that information.
But I think that's really critical, that a 2-inch caliber tree is very small. I mean, that's 4 feet above the ground is where you measure the caliber, and so, you're having a tree that's that size that is replaced, and there's just 2 of them. So there either has to be a lot that would be replaced at that size. But really, I would feel better if they were 3 or 4-inch caliber trees, because that's a big deficit to see these mature trees that are gone. And I think we need to find some kind of equity, in trying to, I know that you didn't do this, it was a mistake, but still we need to find some equity with the trees that were taken down and what is being proposed.
And it looks like it was 6 and 19.
6 and,
19 inches.
oh, okay.
I don't know if that.
Of the, there were 2 trees,
Yeah.
6 and 19 should.
Yeah.
Typically, what they say is that you try to get very close to replacing the caliber of those. So if that's 25 inches total, you know, that you have 5-inch caliber trees or something like that. It would be fine if they're 7, 4-inch or something, you know, because trees get large, it's a little bit tougher to make them survive, but, something like that, it seems pretty. So I would say, staff, is it all right if, staff approves what the new trees are and if they're,
I mean, do I wait to the end to
Yeah, let's
provide
look-
feedback on that?
Yeah, no,
Let's
that's
let
fine,
Ben
yeah.
give- Yeah.
I was gonna say, it's all together for this application right now, so.
Do you have anything else?
Well, I think the elephant in the room is the garage facing Green on this side of, the west side of 4th Street. So I felt that I was leaning into the possibility of that. It's just that I think some of the other comments are right. First of all, I want to commend you for at least trying to simplify where before it was kind of slamming in 2 different design styles, a home and a garage. I do think this could have worked, but there are some things that compound together to make it less than healthy. So, I mean, I normally look for rhythm in the street. So even if we're going to get a garage kind of thing, I think it was kind of important that it has this kind of presentation of that it feels like it belongs with some of the other structures, the homes there. So I'm your friend in terms of exploring and implementing perhaps a garage on this side, west side of 4th Street. But I think then I would have been looking for other kinds of cues that are important to feel like it's contextual. And some of the other commissioners mentioned how it feels wide. It is wider than the other structures. It is kind of leaning into the property lines, both sides. And those things wouldn't have been inappropriate for a garage per se. But the fact that it is also 2 stories and its proportions, the way it kind of emerges out of the ground, it just feels kind of clunky. So it doesn't feel like the rhythm is continued in terms of the way the houses are both proportioned and separated. So there are definitely some things that I would recommend if you continue with this. First of all, I think that like some other success stories nearby, like on Brickell Street, where you get either a different kind of roof line of sawtooth, which is on the sort of odd side of Brickell, and we're talking about between Kerr and Pearl.
50-52.
I'm about to get to that. The 50-52 is also another good example because it has a setback of exposed space for the 2nd floor. So you have this outdoor living space proposed in this this proposal tonight. But it might be that one way to make it present less massive is to step it back and allow the patio space to be exposed. The other thing is and I know that you probably feel like this is kind of a carousel, but the stepping back the entranceway probably would have been, or even the 2nd garage door, so that you have a kind of a forward mass and then a sort of setback mass. Might have been a way to resolve this, and I'm not saying that all those things have to happen at once. I'm just saying that there needed to be some gentler compromise for delicate sort of playing of the masses and setback and so forth that would have helped me get over the hump here with having a garage door on Greenwood on this side of 4th Street. The only thing I'll add to that I think could be helpful in the future is where you've matched the setback. And I'm looking at the plan right now. That the northeast corner, its setback seems to match The building to the west, where I think it probably should have matched the building to the east. What you need to do is go to the others, sort of more contextual plan.
Yeah, that,
I'll point at it directly just so we understand it. That this setback right here is greater than the one to the south, which is narrower, so it would help to kind of set.
That's the existing building.
To add
Fisher, that's the existing garage.
this right here. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
Yes.
We pushed it back 6
You're right.
feet,
Yeah.
6 feet like you guys asked.
So that's a good set.
Yeah, I mean, just to clarify, about every opinion that you guys had from last meeting, we did. So, you know, the new things are coming up are completely new.
Right.
I feel like.
We're kind of at a new sort of design element, design style, so it just, we don't know, we can't prescribe all these, you know, everything, so we just, you responded, and it's maybe not everything we thought it was going to be, and maybe there are other solutions that could have been with the same recommendations, so I'm sorry if it feels like we're not being respectful.
I will just add a couple things, and then let you guys, respond. I think, what Paige suggested on the second story is interesting. And bringing the front door forward might help. I agree about that, like, you might not need to get, something needs to happen with the shape so that it's more of a rectangle and less of a square, I guess, is was a non-architect would describe that. Yeah, but then when I look at it, you know, I don't want you to do this, go higher, and then us be like, that's too high, that looks ridiculous next to that house.
We
So
had the
like,
picture
I'm
originally.
cognizant of what I'm saying might not be possible, which is why we might have to take a foot off the side. I am more okay with these garage doors in the front because we have set precedent of allowing it. And you're doing 2 doors, not one. That's less of an issue to me than to just get a few details right so that we're just a little bit more comfortable that the architecture has the right rhythm and whatnot. So that's kind of where I sit. You all can.
Well, it's definitely, there's a lot of competing commentary in not only this meeting, but the series of meetings. You know, previous proposals had the more massive part of the building set, you know, significantly back from the front of the building, revealing a 1-story kind of industrial shaped garage. Yes, it was a pitched roof and had a vernacular style to it. I, thought that was a fairly appropriate approach. That's the opposite side. So we brought it forward, we simplified the building to kind of simplify the masses, we pushed it back. I hear the talk about having the front door on the front elevation, but at the same time, it's like I can't have a garage door and front door, so it's like I have to set that back. It's just I'm trying to thread the needle between and find a balance between competing suggestions. And when we set the front or when we set the upper stories back, it becomes more complicated and less industrial looking, whereas the flat front really achieves that more industrial style. So I am struggling to find a path forward for this. And then I just want to respond about the total caliper of the removal of trees. I mean, this is an infill site that is taking up a lot. I mean, I would agree with you that if there were trees cut down and there was no building going back, but adding 21 inches of tree to a site that we are now also putting a new building, I mean, I understand that the trees were cut down out of turn, but I think if this proposal was approved in whatever its format was, and trees had to be removed to build it, I don't think we'd be talking about putting back 7 trees on this site. That's my only comment. So,
Can I say something else? I think for me, it's the width of the house, and it just looks too square because of the height. But I would imagine that if you could set back the front porch and that little chunk of porch above, that you would get the exception of the bigger mass being thinner, but you're not really affecting that. And that might be a study. I'm not telling you to do it, but it might be a study to consider in trying to, it's just, for me, it's just too flat, too symmetrical, and too square, wide.
There's one of those, now that you just said that, there's an instance of that on Greenwood on the other side of Fourth, of just that small section set back.
Can you give us the address?
I think it's 247.
We can pull it up on Google Street
I'll
View.
pull it up.
It's 247.
Yeah, 247 East.
While we're looking it up, I think that there's a lot of consistent conversation about the width of this, and I just think that it might be that it's about this massing that's gonna save you, and that maybe you end up with a wide 1-car garage instead of too narrow 2-car opening, so to make it feel more vertical. And it's just what the site allows, you know, I appreciate the struggle you're going through. But, you know, we're trying to be contextual, and I hope that you understand.
no, yeah, I certainly understand, and I wasn't trying to,
Yeah, no offense taken.
Yeah, I really like, I personally think that's an interesting,
The middle one?
because yeah, the end, it's kind of like we failed on that one. Like, I'm like, don't use that as a great example.
Which one do you like?
The middle.
Yeah, because last meeting you guys said any of these would be all right.
I think it's the position next to the residential house that's there, that if one of these, particularly the one on the right, if that were next to that house, it would, you'd probably be getting the same comments now that we see it. Just because we said it, but we haven't seen it, doesn't mean when we see it, we're gonna love it.
Right. But isn't that what time budget is? It's supposed to be different types of houses in a line?
Sure, it can be, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna say these are the 2 houses that we talked about last time, and if you look at these, they are not dissimilar to what you've done at all. The one thing is that they are not as wide and blocky as the one that you did. I think the fact that you have the porch, and this is why I haven't been pushing to see the porch setback, is the fact that you have openings there. It's gonna kind of dematerialize that top part of the house, and it's not going to feel as heavy. But it really feels wide, just like you wanted. You know, we're saying that we want these to be more of a rectangle, more vertical. There's a few things that you could do on the exterior walls, where if you push it in the front, then maybe you can regain the width of that where the house is stepping in the back. I'm not sure if there are side yard requirements that I'm stepping on. I feel like we're close. I don't feel like last week, when you showed us that house.
Well, I mean, I think that's helpful if,
Yeah,
if the feeling is that we're close and we can continue to fine tune this. Okay, because it's,
We still vote on it?
what's that? I didn't. Did you
There's-
want us to hear?
I would just ask, if we still take a vote,
I don't think there's really anything to vote on here.
what about the variances?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Are we close enough to consider a vote on the variances?
Are some of these on the side yard setback?
For the existing building, not for the new building. A lot of it's conforming the existing building,
For the existing building, that's to the left.
for the existing garage that fronts forth.
Yeah, these all seem fine to me.
It would just be the lot coverages and lot sizes that are really affecting the new building.
Page is that on?
It starts on page 7. It's flat on page 7. Yeah. 7 of like the PDF, exhibit B.
Oh.
This is for the existing building? So this is just a cleanup?
So when we are splitting the lot, we have to conform the existing building to its new lot. So that's why you have a lot of setback issues for
So, like-
for the existing building.
Area B is the new building, right? Technically,
Correct.
and then area A is existing, so it's read through these.
And we've already given you our support for the lot split, or it's part of this application?
That's what we're talking about right now. That's what we're asking for.
These variances are gonna allow me to split the lot. Just like in the first application.
Well, I mean, the first application, there was a lot of anomalies within the built site already, in terms of setback and so forth, but.
Yeah.
So I just assumed that's what this was about, not also about the lot split. So, I guess it stands to reason that we should have a short discussion about the lot split. So our ID, are we in support of the lot split? It's a much different size and configuration of lot split. It's not that it's uncommon, we've done it before, but just
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Does
It
that?
I mean, it almost matches exactly the lot split of the two parcels to the east. I mean, it's actually a little more fair in terms of splitting it from north to south. You can see the parcel line.
The new parcel line of the.
Yeah, you can see the existing split line there behind the two existing homes.
Well, for one, I think I support the lot split and the requested variances.
Anyone else?
Yeah, just a question, I think from item 7, one of the variances does talk about reducing the east and west yards. The minimum side yards from 5.8 to 3 feet. So I just want to make sure commissioners know that's there, because that's on area B, correct?
Yeah.
So I guess I would say
Oh.
I'm in favor of the lot split and the variances associated with area A. If you can do that, I don't know. We haven't
Remind me again what
discussed-
area A and area B is.
Existing is A.
and area-
Existing is A.
So is there a reason B has this side yard split, or we take that off this request, right? Because we haven't put a building there yet. So I don't know that we need to approve a side yard variance yet.
I'm not inclined to.
Good catch.
With that being said, just from staff's perspective, just to make it more streamlined for the variance, recommendation approval process through council, maybe to continue all the variances so that they can go at one time to council to get approved, along with, you know, the, revision and design if it is continued at this time, would just be our recommendation.
Yeah,
If they're
I
all
think we need to get their.
We need to get it all
those-
together.
Yeah, we need to get at least those today, whether it's approved or denied.
Well, I'm not supportive of side yard variances for the new build yet. Depends on the materials, the design elements.
Yeah, and rear yard. So like I would be okay.
I think we'll have to table the variances.
Yeah, because it's like 1 through 5 is okay. But then when you get to 6, 7, and 8, these variances should only be for area A right now. Because there's no. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I move on, if I'm making stop it short, but an application 24-01-005 to continue to next month, to allow the applicant time to make adjustments to design and the setback proposed.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second. Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
It's a tough one.
Before we continue, commissioners, we could take a quick.
Yes, yes.
Sorry.
They kind of should. We'll take a 10-minute recess, everyone. We'll come back around. What time is it? 5:40. I did.
Yeah, this is John.
You're live.
That was very good.
Okay. Are we back in business?
Yes, it appears we have everyone returned, so we would like to begin. Yes.
All right, we're on application 7, correct?
We're on number. Yes.
Yeah.
You were correct.
240212, 612 North High. You were like, I know everything. All right, raise your right hand, state your name for the record.
Branko Stankovic.
Swear to tell the truth to the best of your ability this evening.
I do.
Proposed work description, alter existing storefront entry, removal of existing entry doors, display windows and bulkhead, replace with new display windows, bulkhead and 2 entry doors, bulkhead and trim to match existing wood, bulkhead to be painted black to match existing as well, new doors to be Pella 3/4 light fiberglass entry door, and that has changed. My apologies on that. They will be aluminum storefront doors. Doors to be painted black or to be black. Existing damaged fabric awning to be removed, and install new Spanish glass with standard 3/16" satin etched obscure tempered glass for the transom area. Property was recently approved in September 2022 for new signage, COA number IV 2209013, with the removal of the existing awning as well as painting the existing board and transom area neutral color. That has not been completed at this time. I'm not sure if that's going to be continued as such, but just for background for the property. And it appears that the current entry configuration has been present since 1982 with modification made and approved in 1985 with the current glazed storefront configuration. Staff recommends to approve application IV 2402012 as submitted with any clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with the following condition: for the new transoms to be clear glass instead of the etched obscure glass. Basis of staff rec is 311611, standards for alteration.
Anything to add?
Actually, I just had a discussion with the ownership on the spandrel glass and decided to go with clear glass. So that works.
Anything dealt with? Do you want to start us off?
I'm mostly supportive. Yeah, okay. Maybe I have more. It's kind of sad to see an angle in the storefront go, but I don't think this is an original angle.
No, I don't believe so.
So that seems fine. I only had the question of how the balance glass continues over the new doorway. So in other words, I'm assuming that when I look in the proposed front elevation, that the larger piece in the middle is in the same plane as the ones on the side.
I'm sorry, say that again?
This is this.
Sorry. Is that the image you needed?
So
Yeah.
the spandrel and the side,
Start out with this.
Oh,
Yep.
sorry.
That this is the actual line of the balance, the span of glass above.
that is correct. And the spandrel glass will be above that.
That seems appropriate, and, I mean, and do we know what the materials are in that sort of ceiling space? Has that been called out in your application?
I did not call that out.
And or any lighting?
We would have recessed cam light in there. Just right now, there was nothing in there and it's been
All
causing
right,
some
I'm
trouble.
largely supportive of this, but to get my full support, I would request that we fully understand what that ceiling material is and lighting that you're being. that
We
you're-
can certainly provide that, yes.
Carla?
I'm just curious about one thing. I think it's fine, given the things that Commissioner Goodman was asking. But is it typical that, and maybe I don't have this right, that the door on the left goes into the retail space?
That is correct. Even on that angled existing,
Yeah,
it goes to the it used to be Blick store.
oh, so sad to see.
I know.
And then
Future.
the right side is.
And that go, so we're
empty
creating,
Apartments or something?
no, it's a BU's space up above. So we're creating a vestibule on the lower level, then you go upstairs
Oh,
to
just.
the upper level, correct?
Mhm. I just had to ask that question because it seemed like, there's these two things that seem like they're very similar, but they have kind of different use behind them.
Correct.
It's fine. So, yeah, so I don't have any issues. Right, Brooke?
I have no issue either.
Yep, my only questions were the same, as before, just the ceiling and the lighting type, and I think we'd be, or I'd be comfortable with that being able to be submitted first to staff if I'm reviewing.
We can do it again.
I actually have one more comment. I just wonder if it might have a ripple effect, and that is that for some reason I understood the narrow rectangles in the front elevation adjacent to the doors as being glazing, but I'm now seeing in the plan that it may not be, and I think it would be more appropriate as glazing. So I would wonder if anybody else agrees, and if so, if the applicant should speak about that.
I am glazing and
Yeah, on the side,
Basically,
the
side
whole
lights.
side.
It presents as a side light, but those are solid.
Here we're trying to kind of replicate what the back side existing condition is. So we took that, same, no, I'm not showing that on there, but on the pictures, you can see in the back, kind of wood paneling, bulkhead
oh, I
kind of is transferred to the back, but we can certainly do that as, side light there.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, into the retail space. I don't know that I feel it has to be symmetrical and on the other side, but comment on.
Oh, that's true. One's going into a retail space and one's going into a vestibule that has stairs going up.
Well, I understand that practical need, but it would be kind of strange not to have it symmetrical given the
I agree with that.
elevation.
Yeah.
So I would say that if you need time to sort that out, then, or if you feel comfortable reviewing it with the applicant, their solution of putting glazing in there, then we could maybe improve it.
Yeah, we can preview that as staff, or again, if the commission would like to do a subcommittee thing, of course, it's always an option too.
Yeah, so kind of what I see is kind of approval with 3 conditions is the lights, the ceiling material, and the glazing on the panels. Cover everything.
How do you feel about that? So we can make a motion to make that approval and you can make those adjustments.
I can make those adjustments, yeah.
All right.
Send that in.
Then I move on application 2402-012, 612 North High Street to approve as presented here tonight with the stipulations that we just mentioned, that we need to see further detail about the ceiling and its lighting, downlighting, and that the applicant will present a proposal that includes glazing adjacent to the doors for submittal to staff for approval. And if you feel like you need insight from one of us, then I'm happy to be that. Or if you guys, I'm not as familiar with storefronts as maybe you are, Brooke. If you feel like you,
I'd be happy to review it if staff if you feel that you need an additional release.
excellent.
Do that. And of course, if it doesn't follow these conditions, we can always bring it back to the commission.
Correct.
Yeah, so.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you so
you.
much.
Okay, we're gonna go IV 240213, 680 per. Ready, can we both raise your right hands, state name for the record?
Paulson Terry?
Nick Smith?
I swear to tell the truth to the best of your ability this evening.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Proposed work description. Work has been done with code violation. So this code violation was parking penalties. So the removal of existing non-original front porch located on the southwest corner. Widen the porch 2 feet to the west to meet the corner of the existing home. Replace the porch to match existing wood material with new joist, ledger board, and posts. Decking to match existing with 6-inch by 5/4-inch deck boards. Railing to be 36 inches in height with 4x4 posts. Top rail and beadboard. Steps to match existing stairs. Steps to be made out of wood and cover the existing concrete steps that were previously under the existing wood stairs. And porch to be painted black to match recently removed porch. Staff analysis, this is in response to a code violation. Applicant has currently removed the front porch decking along with the wood steps attached, as well as beginning repair of brick stairs. Applicant did receive a COA from the HPO staff for the repair of inline kind brick for inline kind brick for the brick steps, which is COA IV 2402002. Staff had reached out to the property owner, informing them that it appears that there's evidence of a historic concrete porch footprint under the wood porch. We recommended to keep the existing footprint of the concrete porch, since historically it would have been around the same size and configuration. We also informed the applicant that the original porch would have possibly had a similar design to the adjacent properties along Kerr Street, with a roof attached and post as well. So for our recommendation, we would recommend to continue application IV 2402013 to allow commission time to provide feedback on the design and for applicant to revise their design to be more in line with the IBC guidelines. Basis for staff rec is 311611, standards for alteration, and Italian Village Guidelines, porches, page 32.
You have anything to add?
No, I don't think so.
I'd say just the status of it when we originally, we bought the home in 22, and it just reached the point of just totally dilapidated where it was falling down. It got to the point where it was a safety concern. Mail lady fell. So that's when we decided just to take action and immediately fix it. We didn't do the proper channels, and that was our misstep oversight. And yeah, we're just trying to get this fixed for the safety reasons, really.
Paige, you want to start?
So I guess question is, are we looking to approve the new drawings of page 25?
Yes, and the applicant speak to, of course, the added 2 feet to the west, with, just the beadboard railing on the porch, correct? If that's correct, Allison.
Yes.
So, no, you're fine.
I'm just gonna say I'm a little confused. We see pictures with lots of things going on, but I'm not really sure what it is we are addressing.
So the porch has been removed right now, and I believe some work has started on it, so there are some joists and limber boards attached to the porch right now. Page 25 is the new plan, with the drawings of the new railings that wanted to be proposed. It's just code showing.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
so the proposed is simply a new wood deck with those new dimensions and new railing, correct?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I think something that would be helpful to see would be kind of an elevation drawing that we're used to seeing. Just since we're trying to flip through the existing photos to see kind of how that railing will line up with your house. I agree with staff's recommendation of simply pulling in your plan. It shows the porch going all the way to the front brick edge, and just historically and appropriately correct through the neighborhood, giving some relief there so that brick edge can stand by itself and the porch is a little bit pushed back, is common within the neighborhood. So I would agree with staff's recommendation there. And then I am curious about the, I guess, the lack of examples throughout the neighborhood that don't have an overhang with a porch like this.
We'd love to have an overhang, but that's a little out of our
Yeah.
budget right now, so.
I'm accepting donations.
Understood. And understand that as well, but wanted to get that out there as well. So I think the overall railing that was shown with those precedent images around the neighborhood is very common and appropriate. And so, yeah, I think my main concern would try to giving that a little bit of relief to that front of that brick and pull that back
So
a foot or two.
just not flush, just back with probably a couple inches or so.
I'd say like minimum a foot, most likely.
Okay,
to let
no.
that pitch breathe.
So, I think that brought a little clarity too. I'm a little confused. Morgan, there's evidence of the original, porch, concrete porch under the wood porch. And is it staff's recommendation that the new porch be of that same size and material?
Our recommendation, of course, is to be more in line with IPC guidelines, with of course having the covered porch and things like that. You know, with the comment from the owner, we understand. But for the sizing, we would recommend it to be that size. Maybe not that material specifically, but something of that size, because as you can see on the sandboard, it looks similar to what the concrete porch is underneath.
Page 24 shows a good image that shows the, so you can see kind of that, yeah, right there. You can see the concrete below roof rooming.
And I think that's where the porch ended or before it was removed to.
It was a little
It
further.
was a little
Okay.
further out, yeah.
And I guess just for my comment, I think I'll stand by the minimum of 1 foot. I think I would still be fine with that because you still get the relief needed from that front facing brick.
And you're saying 1 foot on the end where it's going past the concrete, that they held that 1 foot from the edge of the house.
1 foot from the edge of the brick, yeah.
Keep the depth there.
Yeah, so just moving this.
Yeah.
I think that sounds reasonable. Do we know if the original steps were wood or?
Concrete. I'm not totally sure. I think the original steps would have been maybe wood or sandstone. I can't remember what the neighboring homes have on their front porch currently. You don't have examples to show you those. I think probably would have been a similar style, not this, sorry. Similar in style as the two properties to the left of the home. So.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they have.
Yeah, I think
steps, because their porch is lower.
Yeah,
Yeah, it might be.
yeah, Jeff Carroll's next to us to the left right there, yeah.
How are they doing this listens?
I see. Yeah, most likely sandstone actually, or limestone, sorry, sandstone or limestone steps would have been probably for that time period.
The original porch most likely had a roof over it. Right?
Yes.
I guess, my only concern is having, a wood porch and you're probably gonna paint it or stain it, and that would it be slippery when it's wet? And what you
Previous one wasn't, but it was also, it didn't get slippery until
Really
it
works.
pretty much collapsed, but it was,
There's additives you can add to paint to give it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would agree, that the porch should be pulled back a foot from the left corner of the, front elevation.
Also help with that. Is there a downspout there?
Yes.
Okay, you don't cover that the way you covered right now. What's that?
So I'm looking at like pages wait a second, 28, 29, a whole bunch of different railing styles. How do we know which one you are proposing?
26 and 27 is what the app or the owners proposing. If I'm correct.
26 and 20.
Yeah,
So it's a beadboard, there's no space in between, it's just a,
no, because of porch pirates.
because of what?
Porch pirates, people are still, yeah, it's pretty common in our neighborhood.
But if you guys require
Yeah.
space between, that's fine.
We'll take it. It's just honestly, it's just, that was the reason why we went with that originally. It's just because we've had issues
Little
with that.
protection, because it's kind of like elevated.
Yeah, we're right there on the corner and it's pretty easy to.
Yeah, I just think it looks more solid than I would expect a house like that to have. You know, I don't know if there's anything that we can do where we give you guys like a lot of time to add a porch, because I understand it, you know, might not be in your budget right now. But I don't know if that is something that we typically do or not, newer than they are. Okay, they say no.
I think
So,
that would just add, you know, they'd come back, you know, if they ever want to add an overhang.
yeah, but it would be nice, but which I actually had, you know, more time. I thought I was done and I didn't even see your case on the back, so I apologize that I'm asking all these questions.
No worries.
It was hiding behind the other one. But I do think that a more transparent railing is more in keeping with that area.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like, we just need to have some of these clarified in a drawing. Just, you know, what is the band board height and some of those other things. If they're there and I'm not seeing it, let me know. But yeah, it's not clear what that railing is going to be exactly.
So if it looked more like, I guess, 29,
Yeah,
30.
Out of those
with
examples,
those.
what are you all thinking? And we'll go with that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's honestly why we supplied, we will apply, you know, it's just wanted to say, give you all options if, I mean, honestly, we just really want to get a new porch built.
I bet you do. Yeah, so I think, what is it? I can't see these numbers. I think it's 29. Yes, thank you for pulling that up. I mean, to me, that seems like that's in keeping with some of the other details that you're showing us. How does that vary from 31? Probably not. 29.
Yeah.
Everybody agrees with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say an important thing to know is that like, end post and having, I don't think there's any drawing showing the like end post there, but having a detail similar to that would be recommended.
Similar to that picture right there, or,
The 29?
Yeah.
okay,
Okay,
It's kind of similar in this
Yep.
one that you shared too, but having
Okay.
that as well is, appropriate.
okay.
I think it would be nice if your section of your railing, given that now we're talking about a more transparent, you want some cant to the cap so the water runs off of it. It looks like you just have a 2x6, so there's not much detail to that. And if you had a little bit of a cant to it so that water would run off of it,
Slope.
yeah,
it would
Maintenance
last longer and probably look less clunky.
Is this on the top of the railing? Is that,
Yeah.
okay.
It looks
Yeah.
a little
I think you can buy that.
lumberish.
We'll hope over time lasts longer.
Anything else?
Are your posts put in concrete footing?
I think we have that there, right?
The one that you're going to move in a foot or so.
Oh, you're asking if they're already placed? Is that what you're asking?
And if they are doing that, it's good practice.
Let's let, Commissioner Goodman.
Yeah, I am just not nearly as optimistic about this. And I want to be for you guys, but staff is already leaning towards what needs to happen. And that is, it needs to be a more relevant kind of footprint, kind of porch. So we've talked a little bit about that. Some of the other commissioners have talked about that. But the thing that I want to do is make sure that we're not getting in the way of your being able to put a appropriate porch roof on eventually. And as soon as you design a front porch, and I know this from personal experience in my houses, things I inherited with concrete porch, that it starts to telegraph exactly where the posts are going to be. And so what I am concerned about is that we get this footprint of the porch in the right size configuration so that when you decide to put posts or a roof up, that you're not going to run into the problems that you don't today see, but I know will exist. And so on top of that, I mean, I'm inclined, well, on top of that, we have a lot of pictures and we're waving our arms and sort of do this and do that, but until you actually draw it, you don't realize that the way the rail meets the post and the post needs to set back of the right distance from the edge of the porch decking material, the walking surface material. And that your contractor is proposing 5/4 material versus a more traditional 3/4 inch material, tongue and groove, which we typically see in a historic kind of situation. And sometimes with a band wrap around that decking material. There are definitely ways that we can give you the sort of elbow room to get this deck done in a way that it doesn't get in the way of the future plan. And so, you might be thinking, well, we're not going to be here in 7 years when we can afford to do that. And so then it becomes incumbent on us that we're leaning into the right historic sort of solution for the house so that somebody else can come along and finish the project that, we visualize this year. So this is all further complicated by this lack of drawings and the handrails. Commissioner Michael Smith brings up a very good point about sloping and water, and actually that extends to almost all surfaces. And no doubt that having no porch roof, you're going to have a much more susceptibility of all your materials getting exposed and rotting sooner than you want. And so if you feel like you're going to be here longer than 6 years, I would highly encourage to do a double check with yourselves and see if you might be able to do it the right way with a porch roof all at the same time. And if not, then I'm heavily suggesting that we get this deck done in the right way with the right proportions so that that either you and the future situation or the next owner can get it done correctly. This deck was done inappropriately before you, and this is our opportunity to get it sort of steered in the right direction. And it sounds like you want to get it steered in the right direction, so we just need to give you the right direction. So I'll say it in very simple terms, a deck on the front of a historic home is not the right solution for Curve Street. And that if we are going to allow an open deck, that it be constructed in a way, and I could really, I'm not as concerned about the handrails per se, even though I think that everybody, that it's a good talking point and that you should get them done correctly. But in the end, the thing that's most important to me is get these posts in the right places and framing in the right places so that when the whole thing rises up out of that to a roof, that it doesn't create a situation where the roof is undoable because of where the posts have to be. And an architect understands this. It's hard for all of us to communicate these things, but we're seeing around the corner. And so I do not support this application, and I don't support the solutions that are being discussed here tonight either. And I highly recommend that we do a check and consult staff and look at better, more appropriate decking materials, get a cross section to this porch so that we understand how the band board is working and the skirts and the posts themselves and the rail, if that's what you guys want.
Are you saying, Ben, that you don't support a deck for the porch? that you would go back to a concrete porch?
No, I'm saying that a deck of the sort that this contractor is
Yeah.
proposing and that would go on the back of a house.
Right,
A front of the house deck implements much different kinds of surface materials and bands and details and relationships to the posts, which should be detailed, by the way. They should have their own sort of finished materials that go down to the ground. And I do hope that you have footers down there, but that should be something else should be on your sort of checklist. But if we're going to give you sort of a halfway solution, let's make sure that it doesn't shoot us in the foot when you further decide to get something more appropriate.
I agree, and I think that that's where we were all trying to get to. And I think you kind of wrapped that in a bow. I think that's that's another reason to move that porch off the corner of the house and away from your gutter. One, you'll never be able to access that gutter again once you put a porch over it, so you just really don't want to. I look at that, and as a fellow Italian village homeowner, that scares me the way it is right now.
Yeah.
So I would get on the other side, and then I think you're actually closer to, I think you just probably need an architect to kind of design this out for you so that it is able to hold a structure in the future if you're not going to do it now. And I think everything we've just said, an architect is going to be able to instantly understand and provide that for you. And you can come back to the next meeting with something that serves your needs right now, because you don't want to, build a whole roof, which fully understand. And especially because this did rot. Like I get, it's hard to be like, you didn't tear it out just on a whim. And so I'm cognizant of that fact. So that's where I think that, do you all agree? I know you agree with that.
Yeah, and I just to clarify, I want to be as flexible as we can in terms of what the materials are and even up to and including concrete, but for the deck itself. But I just think that Commissioner Ferguson's exactly right. I think you need to take a step back and maybe talk to an architect to just get a conceptual drawing of where all this would be heading, and then get maybe the same contractor to finish out the deck itself with those details, with the concept in mind.
I just have a question. When we look at 16, is that just an example for the deck, or is that actually an elevation of their house?
16.
So
That's what it used to be before, yeah.
So when we're talking about this porch, it's in conjunction with this door with the not clear story, transom window above it.
I guess I'll add to the comments that I do think having a down the road plan would be helpful to the commission. But even if there was some idea of how eventually it could move forward to a covered porch, I don't necessarily think that all that structure has to be implemented now. So if it's a way just to acknowledge the fact that this footprint here in the future, we can remove a little bit of the porch here and pour the necessary footings for the pillars to hold the canopy. I think that's what we're looking for, and I think you very much are able to do that with what you're showing. So it's just right, like getting that documented and not necessarily providing the structure currently that's needed for the porch.
Got it.
So it's just, I think that would help.
So are we going to continue, or do you have some other proposal for?
Oh, one more thing, actually. The only thing, I guess, additional for us to view here is something that you said, Commissioner Goodman on panel, was just what's happening from the surface of your deck down to grade. So you have the details of the railing and the railing here, but just want to know kind of like in these photos how that has
Yeah, okay,
condition.
yeah,
We just want to know what's happening right there,
okay,
in order for it to get fully approved.
okay.
Any questions?
I don't say, I'd say a comment. Thank you for the feedback. That's, that's much appreciated. It's like, it's pretty obvious that we're trying to get this, that's really safety. I mean, when we heard the mail lady fall, that was kind of like an, oh gosh moment. So I appreciate the feedback, and we'll do what we can to come back next time, and hopefully.
Add one other thing, and that is that if because this is gonna take a little longer than you thought, that we need to approve some sort of temporary structure, get you in the, in a safe situation, we would do that probably.
Yeah, it was actually
Yeah,
just gonna be.
what is that? But
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah, I
plywood.
was gonna ask, what do y'all
It would just be like
recommend?
OSB or plywood to be put on top of the, porch right now. I'm not sure if railings are needed, I guess, technically. With the height of it, the building code. I'm not sure about that, but, I think just OSB for, making a porch flooring for
And
temporary.
since you have that like framed out right now, you can just nail it into that
Got it.
frame right now and just like put some plywood there to be safe.
So with that said, I would propose that we continue this, and I would make that motion if it pleases the chair.
Sure does.
All right. On application 24-02-013, 680 Kerr Street, I move to continue to allow the applicant more time to sort out a strategy and prepare drawings or design and including temporary solution that allows them to use the front door and safely exit the house. Please.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Appreciate the feedback. Thanks.
Okay, IV 2402-014, 1098 say aye.
Hello.
Hello, can I have you raise your hands, state your name for the record,
Matt Jackson. Rob Tom.
and you swear to tell the whole truth to the best of your ability this evening?
I do.
Proposed work description for 1098 say, applicant would like to remove existing non-original damaged siding on all elevations, which HPO staff has determined has been replaced over time. They would like to install new hardy board artisan vertical V-groove siding to have 7-inch exposure, install new hardy board trim fascia and soffit, and color of new siding and printed to be Sherwin-Williams 7076 cyberspace. Staff analysis, applicant recently submitted an application for window and siding replacement. HPO staff confirmed that the existing windows on the property were replacements based off of previous COA. Approval for replacement windows from the approved windows list was submitted. HPO staff has identified the siding has been replaced over time. We would be in support of replacing what's existing, but not in the proposed V-groove configuration, since the vertical V-groove configuration, since it would not be consistent with the existing siding profile and style for City Code 311611 standards for alteration. Staff recommends 2 options. Recommends to continue application IV 24-02-014 to allow applicant time to bring their proposal in line with the applicable city code and guidelines. Or staff recommends approval of application IV 24-02-014 as submitted with any all clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of the certificate with the following conditions. For applicant to replace the existing siding with either wood or synthetic siding to match the current sizing, profile, and configuration on the property. To install wood trim, windows, doors, corner board, frieze, and fascia for the recommended sizing within the guidelines and city code. And to select another color for the trim detailing to help differentiate the detailing on the property. Basis of staff rec is 316011 standards for alteration.
anything to add?
This is just a customer request that you want to move to get the V groove siding that's vertical. We understand that, you guys recommend probably a horizontal siding, but over the years, it looks like there's been multiple different types of siding that have gone on this house, if you look through some of these pictures. We're just trying to, replace this siding. He wants to spend a lot of money to do this and upgrade the house. The V groove siding is not like a board and batten. I think the V groove siding gives it more of a historical look as well, which I think will look really nice on this house.
You want to start?
When you say V groove siding, you're saying that, I'm seeing board and batten kind of approach.
So the board and batten will have, obviously, as the battens that stick out, the V groove. Sorry. We'll have I'm sorry, go leave this. A V groove is gonna be indented like a groove in, not with a batten that sticks
So the
out.
profile, it includes the batten?
No, there's no batten.
Oh, I see.
There's no batten.
It's just a batten.
It's just rendered.
It's just a vertical siding, correct?
Vertical panels.
Vertical panels. We do a lot of hardy plank siding, and I feel like that the board and batten is more of a modern style look compared to the V groove, and discussing with him, he thought the V groove was a very good idea, to keep that historical look on the house.
All right, I just need to get that clarification for whatnot. I guess I mostly am staff. I am not, I could have almost seen this being restored as board and batten, because it helps conceal this strange addition, but, I'm pretty sure that most of the other commissioners are probably gonna be kind of resistant to that. And I would highly encourage, if you're looking to save time, to pursue a more traditional siding approach, implementation approach. But, and you may have heard some of the stuff that was going on earlier today. So, there might even be a discussion where you recover some of the material and on some elevations and put new synthetic material on some other elevations. But if I guess I could support synthetic. I don't think I would support this particular vertical solution. And what's key going forward is that the trim details around the windows and the corner boards are all properly restored, and I think that the triangle and the gable continue to feel like it's separate kind of piece of the elevation. This up here.
Mm-hmm.
It's already being, I think, rendered separately in existing houses. Maybe I could.
It's got that detailing in the.
Yeah, that's very good. So I mean, there are some characters that we want to kind of hang on to. Yeah. In fact, it's got that really cool sort of zigzag kind of feature. So I think there's a lot of merit to the way it was before. So you got to show me a really good implementation solution to suggest that it should be anything different than what's before.
Point of clarification with staff is the wood, is any of it original?
We don't believe so. After looking at different phases that has gone through, a couple of the older materials in the file, or it shows that it was clapboard originally under the other layers of different siding, but it looks like it's been replaced. There was like a trim board separating the two dwelling units, and then there wasn't that detailing on the gable, so it looks like it's gone through different replacement phases. So we believe that all of it has been replaced over time.
How old is the house?
It's built in 1900. There's also a picture from 1985 of like it looks like maybe it went through a fire of some kind. The original. Possibly, yeah. So if you scroll down, you'll see what it was originally before it was repaired.
Yeah.
Right there, yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like the porch was removed just at one point as well. that's why there's that large gap in between the first and second floor and the front. Yeah, so there wouldn't have been as much siding in that.
Yeah, they filled in the porch when it burned down, right? Basically.
Possibly, or where that portion is where that porch roof would have been.
Yeah.
It would have extended out further. Based off the Sanborn map, I think on 20.
And the reason we'd want to do hardy plank siding as well, I mean, wood has a lifespan. And obviously you can see it's been replaced multiple times. Hardy plank's gonna have a warranty, it's gonna last 50 to 100 years. And it looks like wood.
Let's continue.
Well, and this is such an unusual house. I have to say that I happen to really like the dark look of it, but it's not what our decisions are based on. Carla Trout likes that. Fortunately, I can't go that way, and I feel like I need to ask staff, what kind of background could you give us on any vertical siding like this? Has it been done? Was the V profile acceptable? Is board and batten acceptable?
We have seen for vertical siding board and batten that has been approved on more modern additions or new construction. Not to say that board and batten isn't historical siding detailing on homes. For B group, in my time with the city, we have not approved B group. I think some has been approved back in the 70s, but not of recent. In B group, I can't say for sure that would be a vertical B group would be historical nature, would be more, I think, as horizontal for the B group siding. From what I've seen as, historic preservation is.
But board and batten could be accepted.
For this application, we would not recommend it, just since the original siding was a horizontal clapboard, and we have evidence of that. Yeah.
So, I don't really, I mean,
I think that's after it was repaired.
it's our charge to kind of follow the historic.
Yeah, there's some image here of the original siding, and I will correct myself, that is car siding, so, and that would be.
Where is that? What?
In this image right here,
What
this is the
page is
original
that?
siding. Yeah, and that actually would be the car siding.
That is so interesting.
I do take that back about the clapboard, so apologies about that, but it would be a horizontal application though. But
Not that little shingle. Those shingles, like crooked teeth.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen car siding. So that's really interesting.
I'm guessing that wasn't approved.
I think it's also referred as B group, actually, oddly enough, but in the application of it being, like 2-inch exposure for each siding piece. I'm trying to explain that.
Yeah. So I like the renderings. I really like the vertical, but I don't think it's appropriate for this house. And so I probably couldn't get behind that. But I do think that, your paint scheme, if there is a little differentiation at the windows, I like the dark paint, but I think that you need a little differentiation just because historically that would have been what would have happened. And in my mind, the siding should be horizontal.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the trim with the colored up.
Let's try to.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll just reference back to the guidelines, specifically say no vertical siding to be replaced. You'll see vertical siding throughout the neighborhood, like Steph said, for additions or new builds. But as far as replacement goes, it like strictly says no vertical siding there. So I'd be in favor of using the hardy board and then just using the same scale and horizontal siding that's shown. I would also say that as far as the color, I believe in the guidelines, it talks about, the specific vernacular being, able to, be a more simple palette throughout, and maybe it is just a shade difference slightly for the trim.
That's what I was
It doesn't
gonna ask.
have to be so extreme. But generally with those types, that typology, the door itself does have some type of, kind of differentiator, if that's in color.
So I think with the doors right now, I mean, that rendering is not exact. I guess you could say the doors, I think, are colored doors right now. Black, fire black, I can't remember. So, in the back, in the back there, like.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, yeah, I agree with everything Paige said. Yeah, unfortunately, I think that the vertical, if this were a new build, sure, that looks really great, but it's not, so. You would really have to convince us and, I would be, in favor of vertical at the.
The gable?
Yeah, the gable. The architects have to give me the right ways. But you know, the way it is now, but yeah, I definitely okay with Hardy. It just needs to be in the same, yeah, profile.
Okay. When it comes to, because he does like all the same color, I guess with the trim, when you talk about a tone lighter, like a tone lighter, if he does that'd be something, or is it?
I guess my question would be, you said you haven't done anything to convince you of the vertical. What would it take to convince you for the vertical artisan, I guess?
I don't think I think maybe you couldn't.
You don't think, okay.
Yeah.
So I guess my question then would be, because like I'm really interested in putting this on my house, obviously. And it is expensive and I think it looks pretty nice. You guys have all said it looks pretty nice too. And it's kind of the only thing that I want to do. So I guess, is it better then to just keep it as is, like with the house that's kind of deteriorating and not do anything to it and probably go for working on a different house instead of replacing this? Would it be better to just leave it instead of replacing it and just have it kind of keep rotting away?
I mean, not to have it keep rotting away, but yeah, I mean, we're not gonna, I
Change any minds.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're not gonna change our minds with that.
No, I'm
So that
just
might be
curious.
something that relies with the code officer,
Yeah.
the paint is peeling off your siding. I'm sorry, I can't talk right now. Peeling off the siding or the trim elements, they may come around to a citation if it's left stuff like that, just an FYI warning.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
It's not,
they go around and look for those
What's
items.
that?
it's not good for your house. I mean, diesel start, the wood is deteriorating badly, water's gonna make its way.
You're hurting yourself more than us with that.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I understand where you're coming from. There's stuff, any of us who own homes in Italian Village would love to do with our house, but just know we can't because of the historic district we purchased it in. And one of those things is, keeping in the character.
There are other vertical siding though in the town village.
Those are new builds.
On historic old houses, they have vertical. I think we
If you
presented
want,
that.
and if you want to continue the application and bring those to us and let us see if those are things that we did approve and we're forgetting that, or it was, before either of us were on the commit, we're the old people on the commission, not, I'm young. We've been on the commission long, so stuff. Then we are happy to continue that and can kind of bring that forward and maybe that could convince us.
Okay.
But yeah, in my mind, I can't think of anything, but I could be wrong.
And one thing I would just suggest, and it's up to you, is that you change the rendering to horizontal siding. And because the fact that you have this dark color, which I'm assuming is okay, is a very contemporary thing. Frank Lloyd Wright did that in his houses. We copied it and made black siding in our house, and it was really gorgeous. So you might just look at that, because I know the vertical adds something more contemporary that you like. But before you give up on the house, because it looks like it could be really nice, I would think about changing the rendering to horizontal and then playing with the trim colors and the door color just a little bit and see if you like it.
I've seen it in a couple houses. It's okay. Yeah, I can take a look at that. But I'll find some more photos of the vertical that's been approved on historic, like old houses. And it's usually though, it's like wood. It's not necessarily like James Hardy. It's wood vertical panels.
Yeah, I don't think it's much of an issue for us. It's
Okay.
finding the situations that are actually historic, and the staff will be able to help.
Sure.
you know,
There's even
find-
one today, even on that last porch photo, there was some vertical siding in that picture.
The applicant did submit some examples, but we didn't have any addresses to those. So if you want to add, or some of the addresses that we can verify through our files and see the located, they have been approved and whatnot, and then that can be added to the next.
And make sure they're in Italian Village, not
That's
Victoria Village, right?
Okay.
Because there's different standards for each historic district.
And the
Question.
entire house, not just an addition.
Yeah, because I mean, you'll see that vertical happen in the back on an addition or something like that.
Right.
That, because we like to differentiate the historic from the original.
Makes sense.
but-
So if we were to have that, say, on the next meeting and we could prove that some other homes did that, would that potentially change your mind?
Potentially,
It's a precedence,
yeah, give us some precedent.
Give you some precedent. And is that something you have to do live or can we submit those photos?
You'll have to come back to us because staff wouldn't feel comfortable approving that.
Gotcha. And how often are these meetings?
So the next meeting will be March 12th.
I'm sorry, I've been trying to do this since.
Yeah, we have monthly meetings.
Yeah.
It allows for us to have a business meeting in the meantime. Unfortunately, this past month, we weren't able to because of a meeting conflict scheduling issue. So we'll have the business meeting and everything like that. So we'll want those new materials, or at least those addresses submitted by next week for us to go through and do our review and our research to locate that information to be included for the business meeting and then the hearing on the 12th.
On the 12th of March?
Yes.
In a month, okay. And then you guys could say no again, right?
Yes, it just depends on the review of the commission.
So I guess, you're okay with the hardy. Right now you want more horizontal. A different tone with the trim. That's what it seems like you guys would approve at this point. Correct?
Yeah, I think the big thing right now is the siding horizontal, probably being horizontal, but the profile is pretty important. So you can work with staff to figure out what that, I mean, if it's not like for like. I mean, there might be other profiles that we might get behind, but suffice to say that work with staff and we're going to be able to help direct you in the.
Yeah.
Sound good? So I guess our action here is to continue this.
Yes.
I moved on 24-02-015, 700 North. This number. Is that right?
No, it's somewhere.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. 02-014-1098 SAP to continue to allow the applicant some time to provide some precedent for vertical siding and assess whether other horizontal profiles might be an appropriate solution for them.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And I'll send follow-up information to you, though, of course.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We're at IV 24-02-015, 700 North High.
Good evening.
Raise your right hand, state your name for the record.
Michael Clint?
This is swear to tell the whole truth to the best of your ability.
I do.
All right, thank you.
Proposed work description, exterior building alterations and signage, alteration to entry on previously approved north elevation, proposed to recess the entry instead of the approved flush entry from the last approval, door to be placed perpendicular to the elevation, door to be the Conair 500 series black, recessed walls to match exterior stucco, and window system to around recessed entry to match a recently improved window manufacturer Conair BG 451 black. Signage consists of a couple different signs. So canopy sign is 10.5 inches by 8 feet, 10.25 inches sign in green on the canopy on west facade, faux neon on pale green background. There's a marquee sign, which is 24 inches by 90 inches, marquee sign on facade, faux neon on pale green background as well for marquee sign. Blade sign is 24 inches, hexagonal sign with 8-inch letters on north facade, 9 feet 4 inches ground clearance for that, and white illuminated letters on pale green background. Parking signs, there'll be two 12-inch by 8-inch signs on posts in rear lot to designate pickup parking. These are not visible from the street. And door vinyls, logo, store information, ADA symbol in white to be applied directly to glass. Staff analysis revives the entryway on north elevation will be within the previously approved glazed bay. The new entryway door and glazing storefront will match the recently improved manufacturer Conyers system. Staff note the proposed marquee sign is currently larger than recommended 12 square feet for blade signs. Additionally, the proposed glowing letters and band within the hex blade sign on north elevation is an inappropriate illumination since it is considered internal. Staff recommends to split the application into two parts. In A and B. So A would be approved application IV 2402-015 as submitted with any clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff review and approval prior to issuance of certificate with the following conditions. Those conditions being to remove the hex blade sign proposed on north elevation to allow for one blade sign for short north design guidelines, page 3.37 to 3.42. And reduce projecting blade sign on west elevation to be within 12 square feet, as well as to remove the sweet green short north vinyl window signage and to retain the vinyl graphics for the hours of operation and the services. And then option B, if the commission is fine with the hex blade sign, is to continue that sign in order for applicant to update the drawings to not include the internal glowing letters and band per short north design guidelines. In basis of staff for every short north design guideline signage. If that was easy to follow, I can clarify.
I think we're at page, can we start?
Or is there anything?
Oh, yeah, sorry, thank you. I suppose we'll hear from you first.
I don't have a whole lot more to add to that. I guess I do, I just wanted to identify that we had gone under the guise that the basic parameters of signage, except for the blade on the north elevation, had been reviewed and accepted with the our landlord or developer's initial drawings. So as far as the size of the general size of the sign was just taken for granted. That we did see the parameters and square footage of the sign, so it was a little bit larger than what was identified in the guidelines, but based on what we saw in the elevations, that was kind of what we were going off of. So understand where you guys, where staff recommendations are coming from. So I just wanted to clarify that. So, but other than that, I understand where the recommendations are coming from, and entertain any additional comments that staff or that the board would have.
I guess I'll first say that the revised door on the north, the inset entry, I find appropriate and appreciate how the full cutout is in line with the windows above and the rhythm, the rest of the facade. So I would approve that. And then I actually find the secondary or the blade sign on the north appropriate, even though there is this is an additional sign since it is so far from the entry, and it does make this side street feel a little bit more pedestrian friendly and inviting to me. I would approve having that blade sign there with the conditions that staff discussed about the lighting, I believe. And then my only other comment is in agreement with staff about the size of the taller sign because we're generally seeing more pedestrian directed signage on these buildings.
I think that makes a lot of sense since the, entry is on the north elevation, you want to have a sign there. I think the sign on the west elevation, it's a good point that you want people to know you're there. But I do think if you, if that, that sign should be reduced to the, guideline limitations. And I am, in support of the new entry door being recessed. That will be nice. And probably remove the vinyl signage wherever that was. Wasn't there some vinyl signage?
I think it's just like internal directional stuff.
And there's some sweet green on Fine Correct for the windows as well.
Correct.
Yeah, our recommendation is to move the sweet green, but of course to keep hours of operation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, what basically is Sweet Green, basically short north identifies underneath there, then the address and some directional that they allow for support dogs for handicapped individuals, a handicap sign, and then number to text for employment purposes. And then hours of operations is basically what the rundown is on that vinyl, and that's a national thing.
Yep.
And I think what Steph is saying is that we've got enough sweet green signage, so to take the sweet green off, and keep the directional information on there.
While we're on that topic, it's just not clear to me where those green panels are.
Those, well, the green is there just so that you can see the white. It will be white on the door. So those doors are the two front doors, the double entry doors at the front. Those white letters will be on the front door.
They're clear glass.
It's clear glass, correct. The green, again, is only there so that you can actually read what the white letters are.
And then as I'm scrolling down, the online pickup only, is that truly light green, dark green on light green, and where is that located?
Those green signs are in the back of the parking lot, which will just identify two parking spaces that the landlord has designated for Sweet Green for online pickup spaces, and that's in the back by the parking lot. It's pretty far remote from any front entry scenario, because if you're familiar with the building, it's back by where the garbage and everything else. So,
And I'm sorry, Squash, that's horned in on this out of sequence here, but I didn't realize that the High Street elevation did not have an entrance. So the only entrance is on Lincoln.
no, there's two.
Oh, there is.
Yes.
All right.
That's the recessed entry is the one you're talking about there.
That's the pickup entry?
No, all it is parking spaces. Is what the sign is.
No, they're off this sign. They're now on right here. That is an entry.
Yes, that is an entry, correct. Yes, that's the recess. That's the recess one. Because what the door that was proposed was a swing in. The landlord had reconfigured it so it was swing in, and we could not. Well, I'm sorry, I take that back. Yeah, it was swing in. We needed that door, and the only way we could do it is to have it swing out, because to have it at a restaurant, it could not swing in. We had to have it swing out, but you can't have it swing out because it would be swinging into the right of way, and that's not, you can't have that happen. So we had a conflict there, so we had to like recess it so that it would swing out
Right.
for our use
Understand it.
and not be swinging into the right of way.
Yeah, I was confused because your floor plan is in a different orientation.
Yes. Yes, yeah, exactly.
So, I agree with, most of the comments, or I should say the previous comments, because we're all saying the same thing, so.
Absolutely.
Repeat them all again.
Absolutely, understood.
Yeah, it's good. I think that, blade sign is necessary, in that area.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. I agree with staff's recommendations. For both, part A and part B. So I assume your recommendation is we would continue B. Do you feel comfortable reviewing the final signage package if it just comes into compliance?
I think with it being internally illuminating right now, of course, if the outcome wanted to propose illuminating that sign for it to come back to the commission.
Okay.
If the lighting was to be removed from that signage, I think would be fine for us to approve on that level.
I guess I haven't really provided my comments yet.
Oh, sorry.
So I just want to say that I really like your diligence about that internal illumination thing, but because of the way they're fabricating it, I don't think that it's notwithstanding, I have a question. So it's not the typical kind of internal illumination problem that we have. So I'm going to say, I'm going to ask a question. With respect to, I'm mostly talking about the blade sign here because that seems to be the sticky one. Is the dark green opaque?
It is.
Okay. This, in my mind, changes things a lot. So, so we have basically push-through letters.
Correct.
And one way that I can see how, you know, they're kind of bold style, so it's just getting close to that point where we just don't like internally illuminated signs necessarily in this historic district. But one way to work your way around this is that on your blade sign, or your projecting sign out on High Street, it's all outline typography. So I would suggest that this blade problem, internal illumination, could go away with two approaches. One is that you do a push through with just outline typography. The other is you put vinyl on the faces of the letters, opaque green vinyl to emulate it's just an outline letter, and basically let them be pushed through kind of halo letters. So you get the illumination through the edge of the typography, and to some extent a small exposure of the letter. So if this requires any clarification, I'm happy to be on a subcommittee to help you through this. But I think what I'm talking about is an appropriate response given a recent trends. The other thing is that you could go to a non-internally illuminated blade sign, just go to an externally illuminated blade sign, which would be very sweet and appropriate for that that street and that entrance. And at that point, the only challenge is just to figure out what kind of light fixture is appropriate for that kind of situation. But you know, generally, schematically speaking, we've seen things that come off the armature and light the face. And we have seen, I think, some successful situations where lighting comes off the building. But I think something that's coming off the armature is probably the more likely approvable kind of condition as an external illumination solution. And I'll bet you if you've polled everybody right now, they probably trend towards that external illumination anyway, partially because of staff and partially because of how I described it. But meanwhile, on the front, I guess, you know, compared to some places, we don't always grant the applicant both a vertical blade sign and a sign over the entrance. But you've done it with such taste, with better lighting treatment, as this exposed neon treatments that you're doing are pretty much in alignment with the way we've been trending. That because they are modestly scaled, and in one case marking an entrance, I think are appropriate in this situation, in my opinion. And then I'll go on to say that the vinyl applications, now that I understand that there's no green, sweet green or not, I think that they're appropriate, especially if they're on the inside of the glass. It's kind of out of our purview anyway. So I think at the scale, and if they're just letters, it's not a big coverage of color, which is one of the things we fight against with vinyl applications. It's just typography on glass. I think it's completely appropriate. And as far as the back thing, I think that's appropriate too. So, and I'm on board with the entrance change. So I suggest we throw it back to the applicant and said, ask him if he would be able to pursue A or B that I've proposed on the side sign. And then if anybody has any objections about 2 minute signage, and especially the vinyl, then they should say so now, because I think that we should move everything as I described.
And also, of course you
Real quick on that, just for the sizing of the marquee, would you recommend reducing it to 12 square feet as well? Would that recommend?
Marquee, oh.
Yeah, for that.
What are we at right now?
It's just under 14, just like 13.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, it needs to be reduced.
So it's 12.
We'll never be able to keep a sign the right size again if we
Yeah,
allow you to do that.
I totally understand that.
Probably something that needs code to look at.
You don't need to set precedents. I totally understand that.
This is very similar to Pine House, but I mean, I think just to keep things clean, because you're getting a lot of other things, you should reduce it to 12.
You get an argument out of me.
I was just gonna, I just wanted Commissioner Goodman to verify, so I understand. You're okay with all the vinyl on the doors, plus the signage on the face of the canopy, and the blade sign, and the sign around the corner?
Well, first of all, in terms of sign around the corner, it's a different elevation, so I think that's.
But I think the bigger thing for me is the vinyl.
I agree.
I think the vinyl is they're just barely legible letters on glass.
But just take them off. Why have them then? Like, just get rid of that. That would be my.
My argument to that I'm happy to give up, but is that when you approach an entrance, you don't see the signage above your head anymore. You see, things right in the cone of vision.
I don't need to, because I know where I am.
You'd be surprised. But okay, I'm not, it's not a sharp point. I think that if you remove the sweet green there, it's not a big deal to me. I wouldn't I wouldn't vote no because of that.
So this has turned into another fun motion. Yes.
I get, before the motion is made, I guess to ask the applicant if they're amenable to those conditions of reducing the marquee, as well as the illumination recommendations that Commissioner Goodman has presented.
That's true. I just saw you nodding. I didn't.
Just to make a confirmation.
As I sit here today, right now, I am amenable to what the board is suggested. However, I am going to have to take this back to my client. I think everything that you guys have all proposed is appropriate. Again, I do have to take it back to my client, but I think we're probably in a place that I think we'll.
Would you like us to continue then, so that, because if we approve it and then. Right.
Well, I think where we're at, if we come back, if we don't come back with the exact package that you're approving, we have to come back in front of the board. If we come back with a package that is exactly what you're approving, then you're gonna approve it at staff level.
Yes,
Yeah.
so if we have, if we have a package that meets the conditions that are made today, that's something we approve. If it does, come back, if it does come back with some changes, it can come back to the commission, but of course, if we approve, trying to think about this, because this is gonna change. I was gonna say, if this is being proposed again with what is submitted, then we don't normally recommend that because like the design has already been approved.
Right.
But of course, this is gonna be revised.
Yeah.
If it is approved today.
It's a conditional.
So,
today.
yeah, so conditional approval today. So if it does change, it would have to come back to the commission. So, sorry, long story short. Design change.
And that's how I kind of felt it was where it was going, so.
I think I'm gonna I'm inclined to pass this motion. I'm going to simplify that whole blade sign to be externally illuminated, just to make that clear.
If I might just ask one question also. Given the fact that you're looking for this halo look external on the blade sign, the marquee sign is fine as presented with the push through?
The way I understood the drawings,
It's
it's like a faux, it's like a stroke, it's like a faux neon.
right, correct.
And I think that is appropriate.
So yeah, it's acrylic dome. I mean, basically, so you're looking at, all you're doing is looking at the push through.
And the green is opaque.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. So it's just that white, it's just a white around the outside and framing it, and then the white actual white silhouette of the letters. Okay, and I just want to make sure that we're not saying the same two different, but we are saying two different things on the blade sign and
Well,
Marquee.
I'd suggest we just try to give them approval, and if they want to change something, then come back.
Yeah, that's what we're
Yeah.
saying, conditional.
And then, so if you don't mind, I'll do the motion, and I'll just call out each sign page or something. I move to approve application, 24-02-0157 High Street, which includes a modification to the north entrance and a variety of sign elements. Where I understand that the entrance is approved as presented here tonight, and that the signage is approved as presented here tonight with the following stipulations and changes. That the marquee sign, which is detailed on page 7, will be reduced to 12 square feet total. And that the blade sign, as noted on page 8, will be a non-internally illuminated, it would be an externally illuminated sign with light fixtures to be submitted and reviewed by staff. Asterisk, subcommittee, good. I don't know, maybe. And that the vinyl as proposed on sheets, the double door graphics. Is that only the double door, or is it also in the north one? Is that why that's?
Oh, yeah, it was all.
All right, so the door graphics will subtract sweet green short north that are otherwise acceptable.
Do I have a second for that motion? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
thank you very much for your time.
And if there are any changes, just to submit those drawings and application for that.
Will do.
Go from it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we are at the final application. Yes. IV 2402016, 1060 Summit Street.
This will be our conceptual application, right?
Okay.
And thank you all for your patience. The evenings for.
Thank you guys for all your patience.
Remember, these used to be like 4, 5, 6 hours.
I remember that.
All right, can I have you all raise your right hands, state your names for the record?
Julie Bullock, architect.
Laura, Amy, owner, and just for the record, it says Lauren in the agenda, but it's Laura.
Oh, okay. Thank you. No.
Steve Haney, owner.
There we go. You swear to tell the truth to the best of your ability this evening?
I do.
Great. So proposed work description is new construction and variance recommendations. New construction is construct 2-story frame carriage house facing Beacon Alley. Carriage house to be 22 feet, 3 feet 7/8 inches in height. Carriage house to have 3 single garage doors. Lighting to be gooseneck light fixtures. Garage door to be gel blend carriage house style wood. Roofing and windows to be from approved list to match existing home. Would the commission like me to read out the variances or just
No. Not for conceptual.
that is fine, but the variances are listed below. Staff analysis, the following is taken from the approved August 13th, 2019 Italian Village Commission meeting where the application was previously reviewed conceptually. Commissioner comments, the garage is wider than the house and throws off the balance. Commissioners have a problem with the mass, find a 2-car garage would be more appropriate. Request permeable pavers, pad, or carport structure. The configuration is okay. And a staff note, changes from the previous conceptual review. The garage has reduced in height from 30 feet to 22 feet and some change, as well as the dormer being moved from the east elevation to the south elevation. Staff recommendation is the commissioner should offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal for review at future IBC meeting. No action is required.
All right, anything to add?
Yes, so they've owned this property for quite a while and we actually came before you, I can't remember the year, but they did an addition to the house. Since that addition, there's been another carriage house built across the alley. So there's 2 carriage houses pretty much directly across from this parcel. The development cover is 30%, 30.44. So well below the allowable of 50%. So to me, that is how I kind of look at density. I also requested drawings from staff of the carriage houses. And I got them. You gave them to me. Look before. No, you gave them to me. They didn't have dimensions for the height. I went out and tried to measure the height of the existing ones the best I could. And I was coming up with about 24.4 for the carriage houses across the street. So this is about 2 feet shorter than that. This is a very wide lot. In comparison, it's a 49, basically a 50-foot wide lot, which is pretty unusual, and which is why I think that the 3-car carriage house would be supported. They're wanting this for their own personal use. Their son lives in the house up front, and they don't actually live in Columbus, but they come to Columbus a lot. So they're looking to be able to stay in this 2nd floor space. I think there might even be a little golf room up there. and that way their son can have the whole front house. So that's the intention, which is why they wanted the 3-car garage. They're also concerned about the carriage house now with both carriage houses being built. The windows look directly into the backyard and they're up at the 2nd level. So just doing this too gives them a bit of privacy and screens, the carriage houses from their parcel by putting this up. Do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay. So we're just looking for some feedback on what you guys think about, the scale and, supporting the variances, etc.
I forget where I was, so which one?
I can go.
Okay.
First, just want to say thank you very much for doing the effort already as far as going across the street and measuring those carriage houses. It saves us a comment because that's often something we ask for. So appreciate that, and that helps us put the scale into perspective. I am very much, I think I'm in favor of this application as you're developing it, I think the setback for that third garage bay was very helpful with the scale overall. And something that is in your favor with these 3-car garage is the fact that you still are maintaining like over 5 feet on each setback side. So in that sense, you're not getting, even though this is a wider garage, you're not kind of creeping in onto your neighbor's property as much with the scale of the space. I think the windows and dormers are all very appropriate, and the height as well. So I think it's all, yeah, looking good and appropriate for that specific alley.
I think this is a very nice project as well. I would say I agree with everything Paige has said. I do think that the lower part of the garage, maybe on the back side, needs some natural light, maybe some windows adjacent to the doors would be helpful just to get some light, natural light in the garage. But I think for a conceptual review that this is looking very nice, and appreciate that setback. It's really helpful.
I did forget to mention, there's also there's 2-story homes kind of flanking at either end of this alley on our side, and then kind of vacant in between. So.
I agree with those comments. I think having a setback is helpful. I just wish it was bigger.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I've got a little bit of a hearing issue.
Oh, sorry, Julie. I said, I think I agree with the comments. I think it's a really nice project. I think that the setback is helpful in the garage. I just wish it was a little bigger. To me, as I look at that plan, I don't think it's going to feel that it's that, you know, there aren't 3 kind of garages in a row. I can't see that dimension. Is it 2 feet or less than 2 feet?
2-4.
It's 2 what?
2-4. 2-4, and then 3 feet on the other end. But I could certainly slide it if that's.
It looks like there's room to do that, just because I think, you know, that's the elevation that starts feeling big for the area.
Okay.
Where the elevation, you know, on the south was really quite nice, the way it's broken up.
Okay. So just a little more definition between the 2 planes.
Yeah, just to break that up more.
Anything else?
I'm curved here as another wrong, I was looking at previous drawing. Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Trot that the offset, the setback should probably be greater. I think the windows need a revisit. I think,
And I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I think the windows need a revisit.
Okay.
The overuse of the 3x6 and the 3x5. If I'm understanding these, it's just, you know, I think they're like, especially under this gable, can we get those to be paired up and you know, next to each other? And on the west elevation, I think they need to be more traditionally taller. On the east elevation, I guess I've mentioned, okay, so under the gable, I think the single windows are probably fine. The south elevation, similar kind of conversation. Can this be a triplet? Maybe. And its relationship under the eave. And otherwise, that is kind of a big blank wall, and so I think it was Commissioner Michael Smith was talking about maybe there's a punch at the first level. But I don't know, this is conceptual, and so I'm just seeing where elevation, I think that I'm in agreement that some elevations need a little more relief and that a little more creative use of windows in the way the overhangs work. Actually, conceptually, I'd like to see the overhangs be a little more dramatic. And these roof slopes, I mean, should they be steeper?
So I matched the house. That was a question I had too, so I said, well, I'll match the house.
Does the house have hip roofs?
No, does not, right?
Well,
That's how I got the pitch. I mean, I could certainly make it steeper. I just was matching the architecture of the home.
and on the west elevation, I guess I can't help but to wonder is is this really? I just wonder if this eve should have been, or this gutter line should have been really matching everything else to keep it simple, but I haven't studied the floor plan enough to understand why that might be, but it might be that we can get the best of both worlds, where you can drop the eave and still have some clear story lighting there to illuminate whatever space that's behind there. But suffice to say, some of the variable sort of eave lines, I think, are working against you and makes it feel a little less appropriate. So those are my thoughts.
I have nothing to add. I think it's an appropriate. And I'm a planner, not an architect.
I think we're good then.
Okay, we good.
Thank you
very much for your feedback. Thank you.
Okay, we have some new business, you said?
We do.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, new business, I'm sorry, like myself, order. Yeah, new business is just, like, to talk upon the email submitted about some commissioner being appointed. It's Joe Berardi, he will hopefully be starting, his name is Joe Berardi, that's part of Berardi, Architect Partners, Berardi, I can't remember exact. Yes, of Columbus,
Is he the owner? Is he the owner or is he
He's the owner's son.
Owner's
the son?
or nephew or something, I can't remember orientation, but he recently was serving on Brewery District Commission. I'm not sure we're aware at this time, Brewery District is now under HRC's umbrella.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was a conversation years in the making, I guess, I think before I started, and it is now a part of HRC, so we decided to split up some of the commissioners from that commission into different of the commissions, sorry. So 2 have gone to HRC and we have appointed Joe Berardi to be our 7th seat. And he has extensive knowledge of architecture, but also is historic preservation consultant for CHIPO. So he does have a good historic preservation background as well. So he's going to be the at-large. At-large and architect actually specifically, and at-large, I'm not sure.
So there,
I do apologize for that.
of the 7 commissioners, there are like 3 that have to be appointed by the Italian Village Society. There's 2 to 3 that need to be architects. And then there's an at-large that can just be like Joe Schmo. Yeah. It's just about the composition. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, obviously. Yeah. And then he happily happens to be an architect, which is always helpful to have architects.
Yeah. And how many people are allowed to be in this Italian Village?
7.
And do we have 7 then?
Now we do.
Now we will once Joe starts, yes.
What does he think? You know, like seeing people I know and saying, You'd be good on our commission. So, but we're full now.
Yeah, we are full now, but we're always accepting recommendations that go through a vetting process with our fellow staff, staff member Yelkis Schoenholz. You know, she goes through, and of course with Mark and Jamie as well, and the other managers, but go through that vetting process of if they're good candidates to maybe fill seats in the future and stuff like that.
Okay. Not like good old days. Just got. Should stop.
Yeah, but that's the new business item. There is an old business item as well. It's not on the agenda, but just to discuss real quick, Commissioner Goodman had reached out about for an update for two properties at 835 Summit Street and 1087 Summit Street, which I'm hoping that was correct on that address. Okay.
It's the other one that's abandoned.
The other one that's abandoned. I just wanted to let you know that these properties, of course, are currently under the code violations, and they are under code department's, you know, radar and processes at hand right now. They know the code officers keeping up to date with them and things like that. So if there is any additional questions about those, we recommend to contact the code enforcement or the code officer specifically, because they're kind of a little bit more up to date on the timeline of what's happening with that, with their processes.
I'm sorry, I'm beginning of that.
Oh,
But you're still talking about Berard.
I'm sorry, no, it's an old business item, just
okay.
Based on Commissioner Goodman's email from earlier this week for two abandoned houses on Summit Street. So, sorry, Mike.
Let me just quickly say that we've been talking for some months about abandoned properties and in this very sticky situation where we don't really get to see what's going on, A, and B, that homes that that are in total disrepair, vacated, are getting less attention than people just trying to replace a front porch.
Yeah.
So if we're in the business of historic preservation, how is it that we don't have better oversight in prompting to save homes? And so it's because it's mostly in the silo of code enforcement. But anyway, but more specifically this week, I noticed that on 835, they started tearing down the porch. And so I contacted Morgan and said, did they have a COA or otherwise your approval to tear down the porch? And the answer was no. But I don't even know what the process is. I mean, do you issue, if they had come to you, would you have issued that outside of our purview?
So what we originally approved was, of course, to replace in like kind. We talked to the contractor that day, talked about everything of all the details. And it was going to be in like kind of what was there. So we did approve that. For the porch roof, of course, there was drawings and everything like that for like kind. It could possibly be staff approved, but depending on what they were going to be presenting, it would maybe need to come to the commission. But no, it has not been approved. The code officer's already been informed. He's keeping an eye on these property owners. But he has noted that this work has been done without approval and has made note of it. I'm not sure.
I'm listening.
I'm not sure where they are in the court process. I know he's gone to court a couple times already. I'm not sure, again, the stages of that's out of our purview on that timeline. So, but I mean, I can gladly provide the information for Valentine Blake. He's the code officer. He has a little bit more.
I think it would be good for Valentine to come in. And I also just had a general question. When did we approve through staff approvals the in like kind porch stuff, or did that just is it in a different channel?
No, so the porch approval was to replace the floorboards with the appropriate flooring, to replace any rotten joists in the same configuration as what the porch is there. And
Did we approve that in our staff approvals?
yes, and that was approved on staff level. Jamie Goodman and I went out to the site visit, we talked to the contractor, and we went through and we reviewed the staff approved items and everything like that to verify things and those items do fall under staff approval. Items, yeah.
So we, on these processes, we have to be vigilant that it's getting, that there's not demo, like, I guess that's why it's in front of us here, it is, because I noticed a demo, and, with that would typically require an approval from us.
Yes. It would require approval, sure. Because some of the demo that's been done on the property already has not received our approval, and we informed the contractor of that.
So we just need to know where, how much to lean in or not. I think it's, I mean, I have the advantage of being right next door to it, but, we all have driving by these things, and when we see something,
But the only thing we can do is call the vote. Like, we're not allowed to drag the applicant back in front of us. They have to, you know what I mean?
Because
These are side structure problems. These aren't.
Yeah, but sometimes like a demo is unnoticed, so, of course, I think that here's the thing, it's just that there are so many things going on, it's, well, let me just I'm not gonna cut that part out, you're exactly right. And I just, in terms of something I notice, I throw it to 311 or ask them if they've been, if they know it.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I just want to make sure it's on everybody's radar is that the process of saving a house is a much different process than when you have people that are completely agreeable to the process of coming in and saying, I'm going to restore this, I'm going to replace that, and so forth. There are other people out there that don't operate the same way. And so we could lose full houses because a roof has been leaking for 10 years, which is the case in these two that we're talking about. So I would just like a little more ability to have ways of leaning in your support to ask the questions when they're relevant for, because it's not the same in the world of houses that have been abandoned.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, from our standpoint, of course, like, we do not recommend demo by neglect. And typically, if it is demo by neglect, our standard is for it to be built the same way it was previously, so I'm just saying, if it ever went to that lane, that's from our standpoint as a commission to recommend those things, but
We've seen it happen at the house on 4th Street.
Which hasn't been replaced.
No, it's still 10 years later.
So it's why it's so important to sort of figure out ways to capture these before they fall into that kind of lane. So I hope that I didn't overstate.
No, it's important.
And the code officer for Time Village is wonderful. It keeps us updated on all these properties, for code violations and checks in on things that never come through or whatever. So just to just to reassure, like, he's a really great code officer for these things.
So do you think he'd be willing to come in? I just asked him.
I believe so. I'll talk to Jamie about it with that and things like that. But yeah. Just
with that, I move to adjourn.
Oh yeah, we need to adjourn. Sorry.
Do I have a second on adjourning?
Second.
Okay, Richard.
Call the vote.